Here we go now. 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 we go now. Here 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 we go now.
Hello and welcome to day 5 of PUBG Mobile Club Open. This is of course 2021 Bangladesh region is where we're at. All thanks to Oppo F19 Pro for making it happen. Hashtag Wook Up Your Fun, along with which of course our official media partners are going to be Nemo TV to take you through. Of course, go ahead and of course try and sign on and join into all these actions. Of course, I'm Blora joining us. Of course, going to be Ankit to take us through the saga. It is going to be a wonderful opportunity for these teams, because after all, today a few of these teams are going to be playing their final game in the semi-finals itself, Ankit.
Exactly, as you perfectly mentioned, day 5, that means ANC locking their horns, and that straight away brings one name, Gremlin Storms. I mean, the team have started performing well. Bad intentions, since they are not playing, they are in Group D. They will playing tomorrow in B and D. But let's talk about the today's affair. Let's talk about today's legacy. And in that being said, so it is also going to be one more team that is going to be Gods Reborn.
Most certainly. Again, when it comes down to these teams, they are looking so very much dominating and fierce itself. But along with all of that, as we move on through the tournament itself, there are a few things to talk about. Well, first and foremost is going to be the fact that when it comes to the finals itself, the regional finals will include only the top 11 teams of the leaderboard. So that is what the stakes are going to be raised up towards. Top 11 is where these teams will have to finish towards, because again, 5 teams have already been invited to participate in those finals. And in all of that, when it comes down to the massive prize pool, well, that is another thing to bring up, because we have $29,200 on the line for these teams, along with the biggest factor being that the team that will be on top by the end of the finals will be qualifying for PMPL Season 4.
Exactly, a big opportunity, a big thing to up for the grab for each and everyone, and doing so, it is going to be everyone that will be getting closer and closer towards that. But before that, they have to make it to the finals, and some teams will be missing their marks, some teams will be getting the favor, but on what basis? This is a point structure, ladies and gentlemen, the same point structure that we're getting to see in the past. First gets 15, second 12, third 10, and it keeps decreasing down. 13, obviously the last teams get none, and 1 kill point is awarded as 1 total points. And talking about the groups that will be coming to play, we talked about GR Esports, we talked about Gremlin Storms. They are right there standing like a big wall. But then it comes how MARTYRS EPSILONes will be making a comeback, how Sinner Esports. Remember, this team was really lagging in terms of the total points and the kill points, placement points, whatever it be. I mean, they were not looking good as far as things are concerned. But KSX somewhere down the line have started performing to their own way, to their own perfection, and in doing so, it was also Infernal Parasite that somewhere down the line realized, and the sense and the urgency was there, and so they started making it all happen.
Most certainly, and as we move on along through the list, it is going to be of course Final Touch Limit Over. Now Final Touch is the team to talk about. This team did not participate in the first few games, but when they did start doing so, it has been absolutely a wonderful journey for the team. And of course today they're going to be playing, thus they are going to be completing the number of matches that they were supposed to play. But eventually this is where the schedule will lead us down to Erangel, Miramar, Sanhok, and Erangel will be the run of the show for the day, where we'll start things off on Erangel and again finish the day on Erangel itself.
Indeed, pretty much the same 4 games of the day. That means 4 important opportunities, and in doing so, the opportunities is going to be also for the overall ranking for us to see, to have a glimpse of it, where Bad Intentions are sitting right there with the mammoth total point system with which they are sitting. 8 matches, 130 total points, but not far away is gonna be Gremlin Storm, 26 points just away. They are marching in towards where Bad Intentions are sitting, and the point table with which they are sitting with pretty much looks doable for them. And then it comes Infernal Parasites with 90 total points, and all these tables and all these table topplings will be doing so. And I'm sure that after the end of these 12 matches, teams like GR, IPG, and the Gremlin Storms will be doing some different sorts of way. But a lot of team, I mean, MARTYRS EPSILONes, this is also one team that is still on the first half of the chart and will be playing today. And talking about also one more team that is going to be Limit Over. Now this is one team that has been really aggressive, and that can be clearly justified in terms of the total kill and the placement point that has been showed. Will we be able to get the same sort of gameplay, the same sort of aggressions, or maybe trying to play passively just in order to get more and more placement points? This is also going to be one thing.
Absolutely, we shall see if that will be the case or not as we move on through the list. It is going to be again quite a lot of opportunity that will be created for the side of Phantom for UI, but eventually that is the moment, or rather that is the position that these teams will want to be above. 11th position and above are the ones that move into the finals, and it is not going to be an easy task for for the likes of teams that find themselves on the third and the fourth page of this overall ranking, where things are going to get tricky as we get moving on along through the day. We are, of course, looking at Final Touch right there on the 18th position with 5 games that they have played. So 3 games they missed, but in the 5 games that they have played, they've already climbed up to the 18th position marker, and of course that is going to be working in this team's favor. But today's 4 games, if they play it right, they could very well find themselves with that same sort of a classy play in the top 11.
Indeed it is, but one team that we just I'll have my close eye set upon them, that is going to be of GS Legend. The team really on the third half of the chart, somewhere down the line to 17th and 18th position, really needs to make it quick in order to get to the first half of the chart. But talking about that, it is going to be Sinner Esports, 8 matches, just 27 total point. I mean, completely not acceptable the way they have played. Either they go all guns blazing or they just fall down.
Absolutely, and as you move on along through the list, it is going to be head-to-head where we are looking at Gremlin Storm, a team that finds themselves on the third spot today, should be able to actually climb up to the second position or maybe even first. As Ankit was mentioning, only 26 points shy is what this team finds themselves at to be on top of the leaderboard. And against them, we have Martyrs Epsilon, a team that, of course, Ankit also did mention is finding themselves in the top 8 for now on the 6th position, with that chicken dinner working in their favor. Talking about the aggressive stance that these teams have been participating, it has been phenomenal from both the sides.
Yeah.
It is 9,791 damage that we can see that Gremlin Storm were able to dish out against their opponents, but not that far apart is going to be Martyrs Epsilon with almost 9,000 damage of their own as well. It's just the point difference and the kill department that is going to be leading to Martyrs falling short of that position that Gremlin Storm finds themselves in. But in all of that, an X-Factor team is going to be Limit Over, a team that has been just absolutely ludicrous in terms of the gameplay that they've been able to showcase and the kill department that this team always participates in.
Indeed it is. We talk about the kill teams, the kill factors. I mean, a lot of players, I mean, really crossing that 1 KPM per mark, but in doing so, it is going to be the blaze among every other team. We talk about Nitrogen Igniter. Siam has been really the dominant one in terms of the kill he has been able to secure, and not only the kill, eventually the damage has also been significantly increased in terms of what he has gotten for now. A lot of teams sharing that 1500 markup of the damage, but certainly not able to capitalize upon to it, and certain players need to actually step up in order to get themselves into that right spot. But for the moment, obviously we have a Limit Over's complete team card with Blaze getting the best part of among all the one. But Siam, I mean, this guy has also impressed me a lot in terms of the 1v1 fight, 1v2 fight, in terms of the flank angle, those rotations, those infos that he brought and gathers and let it pass to the rest of the team. So this is also one of those lads that really have the the responsibility on his shoulders in order to get past over what Limit Over is standing for the moment. Limit Over today, it has to be there, else it will be, as you perfectly mentioned, the top 11. So not only this, you have to win top 16, you have to be in the top 11. So the mark is already pretty much tough, because as a moment ago we saw Martyrs Epsilon there, it is also Gremlin Storm, GR Esports, and in that, if you are still surviving, I mean, you have already won the battle.
GR, good point to bring up actually.
Exactly.
Reborn, the way they started off the PMCO saga was absolutely phenomenal for their side, but along the way they have kind of fallen down a little bit. But hopefully today, as they jump into the final 4 games during these semi-finals, we can see a comeback from that team. And again, when it comes down to Gremlin, we are certainly looking at that team making a wonderful comeback. But alongside all of this, the teams that have been invited, we do have, of course, Venom Legends, we've got A1 Esports, we've got XP Blood Legion, INES, as well as Black Bulls.
Yeah.
So these are the 5 teams that have already been invited to be a part of the finals itself. And again, well, the team that will be at the end, the one will be on top of the overall through the finals games itself, will be getting not only the money, the prize pool, the bragging rights, but a slot to PMPL Season 4. So a lot on the line for a few of these teams, or in fact, all of these teams rather, but only a few of them are going to be able to capitalize on the situation based on the play that they've been able to showcase. Well, stats clearly do speak for themselves that few of these teams that are underperforming, simply put, will certainly not be able to run into the top 11, because, well, it's so very fierce. It's so very tight in terms of the top 11 teams and the points that they've been able to accumulate game per game.
Exactly as you just mentioned, I mean, some teams really didn't play to perfection, but one team just the 5 games that they have played, as you perfectly mentioned when we got to see the overall ranking. I mean, Final Touch is one team that really missed a lot of matches in the early stage of the game, but the moment they chimed upon into the match, they stepped up and they got that chicken in the game of Erangel, and then they set the tone. But somewhere down the line, the rest 3 matches on that day, they really didn't bloom and they really didn't flourish, and just because of that, they are certainly lacking in terms of the total point table that they have gotten for the moment. Third half of the table is where they're standing for the moment, but trust me, Blotter, it is going to be a tough task because it's not just the top 16. I mean, it's top 11. So 5 teams, whichever will be between 11 to 16, still being on the second half of the chart, will be missing the markup, and in doing so, certain teams will be looking have a very good eye. And as you perfectly mentioned, God's Reborn, I mean, a very good point to talk about. God's Reborn, I mean, they really started a journey off, but somewhere down the line, the aggression just backfired them.
Yes, it did. It certainly did, in the way that they were not able to make that sort of a marker for themselves. But enough banter from the desk. Let's move on into the game itself and find out where this Erangel is going to be taking these teams through. Because after all, this is going to be the second last Erangel that these teams will be participating in when it comes to PMCO 2021 for the Bangladesh region. We are going to be looking at the flight path that is going to be chiming in along from the side, from the western side from the looks of it, and is certainly going to be moving through Hospital down towards Stalberg from the looks of it. But it is an interesting play where the plane is missing.
Still, the flight path is on and the players are jumping off, and that's the safe sign. That means the flight is not crashed. But talking about the crash, it's the one that the team are jumping slowly and steadily and taking their best fortified areas, the compound for the moment. We were talking about GSM's drop location. I mean, that's the area where the Pachinki is where they're heading towards, and it seems that there will be no contestation for them whatsoever, at least in this early stage of the game, because if they do so, they will have to fight off, because there was some sort of contestation when we were getting to see the day before yesterday's gameplay where Erangel was in the Pachinki was in some sort of contestation, but IPG again not going down towards the area of Novorupna. Since 7C's GSM is in the lobby, they know that somewhere down the line 7C's GSM or any fine day, if they try to go towards the area of Novorupna, and in that situation, if IPG finds themselves in the same proximity, that is something the one that IPG is really averting and not trying to just go ahead, and that's one good thing that I love to see about these teams. But Black Diamond is also one team that we really talk about. This is also one team at the start of these Bangladesh, obviously PMCO's qualifiers, I mean the semi-finals, we got to see a lot of aggression, a lot of strategized gameplay that really helped them, but somewhere down the line they have also faltered down.
Well, we shall see what the play is going to be made from this game. We can see that when it comes to the military base, it is going to be none other than Black Diamond, the only team that has jumped onto is the military side. But eventually, as the game progresses on along, the early contestations can be expected from the southern side of Yasnaya, where we do have so many teams that are so close to each other. We of course are looking at Phantom for UI, that is going to be there along with Thundercloud and the team in pink as well. So interesting start being showcased right there, and they are perhaps going to be contesting. We shall see if that will turn into a fight or not, and yep, it is. And that final team, the pink, is going to be Sinner right there, and it was in the crosshairs against the players of Phantom for you.
Vehicle run over, first blood. What a way to start of the game. What a way to start of the game. And right off the go, the players are stepping up, and they are not shying away to take the fight. We just saw a fight, just saw banter early moment ago, and it seems that now GS Legend, the team that have really good in terms of securing their kill points and the numbers, now really look to go to the fight. And this is something that GS Legends have worked upon, and they really need to have at this moment. They desperately need to have at this moment, because the positioning and the points in the overall ranking is certainly not favoring them, and in order to trespass them, this is the only one thing. But it seems that Phantom UI are just getting the better half of Sinner Esports.
They most certainly are. One by one, they are converting those knocks, and of course, they are just not allowing the team to walk away from that. They've already been able to confirm 2 kills for themselves, and it is not the start that was anticipated for the side of Sinner Esports, but that is certainly what is being showcased from them, and it is all thanks to Phantom for you and their demonic play, because that is just 3 minutes into the game and they've already accumulated 2 kills for themselves. So a perfect start for the side of course, Phantom for you. But on the other side, it is not only Sinner that is in the vicinity, there is the team of Thundercloud as well. But for now, that team is going to be absolutely quiet and not participating in the fight. But we can see that Easy from the side of Phantom for you has a little bit of an idea towards where exactly the opponent team is of the Thundercloud, and it is going to be Conversation for him to be able to answer that. Will he take that fight or not? When it comes to his teammates, well, they have a control of this buggy and now are going to be trying to get themselves acclimated as far as the team itself is concerned. We see a two-man split coming in from the side of Phantom for you for the moment.
Start that they really wanted to have in their favor. At 11th position is where Phantom UI started, and that is certainly not the position any team would want to be. Either you be above 10 or 11 or maybe just fall down, because 11th is where the sword just hangs around your neck, and at any point if just one team just trespasses you, even if the total points is equal, and if they are getting a lot of kills apart from you, then they will be the one that will be trespassing you in the terms of total point system, because at the end of the day we have been repeating the same thing. I'll repeat again, it is the top 11 that will be progressing. And talking about the progression, it seems that Phantom 4i is really looking to take up the fight. We can already get to see the players are in a split situation where two players are completely on different directions. The western side where Yasnaya Polyana, those small ridges are positions, and that's the place where Emperor is finding himself with Hawkeye. Along with that, it is going to be HRX and one more player onto the complete western side of Pochinki. Now they have their eyes set upon, that is going to be Thundercloud, as you perfectly mentioned a moment ago, that it is also one team that is in the same vicinity. And talking about Thundercloud, they really need all these points. If not, they might miss up the mark.
Absolutely. I mean, this team were on the 18th position, and of course they are wanting to get into the 11 itself, but it is not going to be an easy game, because when it comes to the lobby, you've got Gremlin, you've of course got GR Esports, you've got MARTYRS Epsilon, a lot of teams that are wanting to dominate. And right now we are looking at GS Legends dominating against the position and rotation coming in from the side of Team IR. Incredible spray, but sadly the knock that was delivered to them has only been converted into that one kill for now.
Indeed it is. I mean, early blood is what all these players carve for, and that has certainly been the case. I mean, GS Legends, I mean, this is one team that don't shy away to take the fight, and somewhere down the line that has backfired them. But the best part for them is that they haven't averted and sought some different sort of approach. This is one thing where GS Legends really chime upon and really flourish, and this is where the teams have got one start that they were looking for, is the early kill that they were looking for, and some more players coming in from different directions and bringing IR's player down to solo HP, where they won't even have the courage to strike them again back. This is one good start that GS Legends wanted, and since they have got the early fortified compound, I mean, they really have a good chance for this match too.
They do. That is so true indeed. Team IR have created a flank angle by moving on across this entire ridge, but will it be enough? For now, we jump back towards the Yasnaya region, where we did see some early knocks coming in and kills as well being converted. That was from the side of Phantom for UI against the players of Sinner, but now the conversation and the tides have changed, as we still are looking at the same exact compounds from this Yasnaya region, where Thundercloud has also dropped, and for the moment Thundercloud are looking absolutely in comfortable spot, because well, there is no contestation from the opponent team of Phantom for UI for the moment at least, but it seems like only a few moments and these teams most certainly are going to be reaching in the middle ground.
Maybe that can be a case, but the question still remains, do Thundercloud have the realization that it's still Phantom UI after the end of 8 minutes, close to 8 minutes, still present in the same vicinity? We can already get to see 3 purple markers onto the eastern side of Yasnaya Polyana on the back side of Thundercloud that can really pincer them down, and now all the 4 players are congregating. That means they might be just waiting and waiting to strike them, and where they just look so susceptible. But moving so IPG, the players are finding themselves in some closer vicinities from different directions. It seems that they are making a rotation from different rotation. Complete western side is where they're coming in from, but somewhere down the line, Gods Reborn, again the banter continues. Will they be taking a fight? There is also an option to actually retreat and to not take the fight, because there is no other way apart from if the intention comes into the fight. That's the only way they will be taking the fight. But apart from that, I don't see the fight maybe erupting, but the fight is still on in the area of Yasnaya Polyana, as now Phantom is trying to hit Thundercloud back.
Absolutely are, and most certainly the fight has started between Phantom for UI and Thundercloud for the moment, but it has not converted into a knock as of now. Moving it down towards the center of the zone itself, we do see Team IR have made the rotation, but in the vicinity they will be of course reckoned with for the team of Final Touch, as well as another team that is going to be MARTYRS EPSILONes. So another interesting fight that can be brought on from the center of the zone on towards the tangent. When it comes down to Yasnaya, it is looking like another team is going to be making a rotation very, very close to them, and that is of course going to be the team of FO, and that is not looking good for the side of both of these teams, Phantom for UI as well as Thundercloud, because if at all Phantom for UI gets backstabbed in that region, well, no, that will not be taken place. For now, it is going to be a rotation completely being made from this side, and eventually the team will be losing, or rather not participating in the fight, and Faceoff Esports find themselves away from Yasnaya into the comfort of the zone, as well as no other team around in the vicinity to go against them. But the fight between Phantom and Thundercloud is finally erupting. As we were talking about it, no kill has been confirmed, no knock has been confirmed, but now face to face is where these teams are going to be facing, and Phantom for you have absolute control of this compound. But when it comes down to the aggression that Thundercloud are showcasing, it is looking real good. We're surprised Guy has just completely dominated and within a matter of seconds taken the kill, the first early blood between these two teams, and it has now resulted in him being knocked out as well, and Phantom for you as Emperor going to be helping him out. But eventually, where are the Thundercloud players? Where are the teammates? Bulbul and Krim are trying to push on along from the flank angle, but will they reach in time? Bangla had taken a lot of damage, but will of course be getting that first aid kit to himself and moving on along. But the information that he's giving away, Emperor is absolutely on top of it with his DP.
Indeed it is. Emperor just trying to pin them down. Now one more animation, one more grenade. Will this be from the sides of Emperor land into his lap? But before that lap ends, he will be falling away, but just not enough for him, as he will be taking down. What a grenade from side of Emperor.
Yep, what a perfectly set up nade that was. Absolute precise throw it was, and in that it is Thundercloud who are off to a back stab angle, where Bulbul and of course Bishal don't have a lot of options now. They don't have a lot of options when it comes to trying to even get that revival to Bangla. It's not going to be easy, because he is absolutely in the open area and he's going to be giving away his life as well. With that, Phantom for you are off to a perfect start. Indeed, this team found themselves on the 11th spot when the day started off. So right off the bat, they were able to get 2 kills against the players of Sinner, and now as the journey continues on, they've gotten another 2 kills and it's all thanks to Thundercloud and the way that they have played onto the back end. We can see that IPG have made that rotation from Georgiapol region that they dropped into, but are not going to be participating in this Yasnaya fight for now. Interesting, slow pace performance is what has been showcased from the side of Thundercloud, but now it is not looking good or easy for that matter, because Thundercloud, they needed those points, but sadly they are giving away those points, and it is Phantom for UI who is in the better half of this entire saga.
IPG is also coming blotter. IPG is also coming blotter, and it is not looking good, as now Thundercloud might be in a sandwich situation, but it's still far-fetched because they are having themselves in the fortified areas, and IPG, I'm sure that they might not be indulging themselves even in these fights. Even if they hear all these sound cues, if the grenades and of those leads are being peppered down onto them, they will swiftly move around to where they have the objective set up. But for the moment, it is going to be Phantom for UI. All the 3 players that are still surviving with all different directions, just in order to scout down all the areas. But IPG, before coming in, they need to realize, and as I just mentioned and talked about, it seems that now IPG are going to be coming slowly and steadily, but not coming. They are going away because they know the circle is going to make a shift. But what a shift. I mean, they were on the western side, they made a rotation, went to the northern side, and now it all of a sudden they have to retrace the path back.
That is so true. I mean, IPG just made that rotation from the western front itself, and now they're going to have to backtrack exactly where they came from, and that's exactly what we can clearly see. On the other tangent, it seems like Sinner have found a fight of their own. As we can see, they are trying to Sherlock right there, trying to take on a fight, but against who, we shall see in just a matter of minutes. But eventually, bringing it down to the center of the zone, it is going to be 7C. Yep, there we go. GSM, Gremlin Storm find themselves at the mercy of none other than Sinner's 2 players, and it is going to be a perfect spray that has been brought on, and Rafat has been lost to the cause. What an interesting affair this has turned out to be, where GSM is the one who's at the receiving end, but Rave goes down as well, thus leaving the GSM with 2 players, only 2 players, and now it is Gods Reborn who chime in along.
Gods Reborn, they have their eyes set upon, but before they come in, Sketch will be getting a lot of bullets being peppered, and before he makes a slam in, it is going to be him being pegged on by Kavki. Thanks to the onslaught that has come in at the right point, at the right time, but in doing so, it is also going to be better if that really went for the horrendous push, I would say, because he was in the open, and he was inviting himself to be get knocked, but in doing so, it seems that the players have gotten a lot lot of info, and now the grenades are being used. Koa is being peppered down with a lot of grenades that are being used from different directions, but 7Cs have lost one player, and that is going to be rougher. With that being said, it is going to be Sketch that needs the revival, but still the revival is not coming in. Aban was pretty much close, but the grenade just overshooted him.
What a play this has turned out to be. I mean, Sinner certainly did showcase some class in the fight that they took against Gremlin, but now it is going to be a fight between Gremlin against the team that we were talking about for a comeback. It is none other than God's Reborn, and it is going to be Kao who is at the receiving front from Badrav's wonderfully set up nades indeed, and in doing that, it is looking like GR are just onto the receiving front again and again. The revival has certainly been brought on from the side of GR to their teammate, and all 4 members now push on along into this compound where it is GSM who are waiting to pincer down the players of first Godriban.
Vilai on the backhand side. Badrub hasn't given any sort of sound cues. Eventually, he got the 23 damage and is still not using any first aid nor medkit, because we know the 15 to 20 meters at distance, even if you use the first aid and any sort of healing up material, you will be giving away your sound cues. And just because of that, he is holding the same position. So good strategies, but is that enough? Will that be a healthy one in order to get more and more kills secure? So now Daughter is using all the grenades to its perfection, but still not able to bring one more knock. If this lands perfectly into the lap of 7Cs, eventually it lands.
Eye goes down. What a play, what a spray this is turning out to be in terms of the nades, and Daughter is still not done. He is going to push on along with those nades again and again. He seems to be wanting to go on towards the back end of that compound, and it is going to be damaging Cup Sheet a lot indeed. And Badre finds himself caught off guard and eventually will be brought on down. It is not looking good for Gremlin as they have been pincered down. What a phenomenal turn of events it was, and it is all thanks to Daughter and the way his nade parade just completely annihilated Gremlin Storm. With 2 kills is what that team walked away with, and that was of course Sinner that GSM took a fight against, but eventually it is God's Reborn that get a better half of this compound. And what a play this team has made with all 4 players still surviving, and they also have the comfort of the zone.
2-0. 2-0 is where God's Reborn standing in terms of the head-on-head fight against them, and obviously Gremlin Storms completely decimated, completely smacked, just not got enough of opportunity. When they were holding the compound, they had that fortified area, but how to actually pin down the team if they are finding themselves in the compound, that was shown to perfection as Daughter used all those grenades. But as we move towards the circle is going again and again to the western side, thus resulting a lot of team making a move into the circle, and in doing so, it is again IPG that are now after a long rotation. They have been following a long pursuit. They have been completely in that area. They have been just rotating and rotating, but now it seems that now for a moment they will be in a safe haven, as now the school apartment is where we might expect to constrict slowly and steadily the zone, and this is a really good position to actually spot down the player and take the kill numbers to its toll.
Absolutely, we do see in this small little area right there where MARTYRS EPSILONes have pushed on against the players of GS Legends. On the other side, it is going to be of course on our screens that IPG were trying to take on a fight against the players of Limitover, who also find themselves as a safety net of the compound that they are in. 4th zone, 17 minutes in. This is looking like a complete decimation from this lobby, as all of these teams are participating in their own individual sagas and fights. In all of this, when it comes to a team that we were talking about making a wonderful play in Spray, it was Final Touch, who have been joined into the lobby with just a 3-man army, have been brought down to 2 sadly as they made that rotation. But for now, they are still alive. 13 teams remaining, and IPG are just pincering down whatever compound that they see movement in. It is Limitover from one side, and finally it is going to be Final Touch coming in with Rebel taking a fight against the players of Thundercloud and actually eliminating them from this entire saga.
Indeed it is. A lot of players are now leaving the lobby, as now the circle is slowly and steadily making a move, and sooner or later after 10 to 15 seconds we'll get to see one more circle shift, and that will eventually decide the fate whether IPG this time will be getting the favor of all the compounds or not. But I really want those lads to be in all these compounds, because they have made a longer rotations, and till now they have made it to perfection that they have not only made those successful rotations, but also now trying to accumulate more and more kills. With all the 4 players standing, certainly IPG, if gets the favor of one more circle shift, will be the team to watch out for. But MARTYRS EPSILONes is also one team that don't stop. The hassle doesn't stop, as now the player are slowly and steadily just scouting down the area, just not giving enough of sound cues, not giving unnecessary fires, and they are pretty much close to where IPGs are positioned. And in all these compounds, this is the area where now KX acts, not in a fortified area, but still in the prone position. And open position is where they are founding at this moment, so they need to be pretty much cautious and watchful in order to doing so, they might be pincered down. If I just talk about that, but KSX, all 4 players are alive. Buggy is one thing that they can rely upon rotation, but what sort of rotation they are going to be making, because it is going to be Faceoff, which is pretty much close to them. And not only Faceoff, it is going to be Zigsaw from the sides of Black Diamond that has duly noted the rotation, and as soon as they make a move into the zone, it might be a thing that they might be gatekeeping the situation. But Black Diamonds, since they are holding the important compounds, the small little huts, can actually help them restrict the movement of the whole team of KSX.
Well, with that, it is going to be the circle that is moving away.
Western.
What a play. What a wonderful turn of events this is for the side of ATR Exitron Red Army. The circle absolutely being dominated by them for now, and the other teams, well, they are going to have to make that rotation, and when they do, this is when they can very well be caught off guard, and during that is what we end up looking at a lot of third-party situations. As of now, when it comes down to the teams themselves, we have, of course, Faceoff Esports, who are not in the comfort of the zone. They are certainly keeping an eye from the edge of the zone indeed, and as the blue zone comes on across through them, they are trying to get as many teams caught off during the rotation that they try to make to get into the comfort of the zone. Talking about Black Diamond, this team did get themselves set up pretty neatly for a few minutes ago, where it was a fight against KSX, but now they are also going to have to leave the net of the compound and move again. Jigsaw did get himself into the compound, but his teammates are yet to make that rotation.
They have to make a rotation, and so do now each and everyone. Talk about the circle shift has certainly made way, but IPG being the wiser one, they have all of a sudden changed their stand, noting it duly. It seems that now GS Legend will be getting a bit rough, but now they have started chiming it upon. 2 knocks from the sides of Nick, Kid, and 1 drop shots put the final in the coffin as death bring death to a complete squad, and with that, MARTYRS EPSILONes has bid goodbye to this lobby.
Well, not the play that we anticipated coming in from the side of MARTYRS EPSILON with 0 kills to them, and right now it is ATR, a team that was looking absolutely ferocious based on a circle, because they were the only ones who were in the safety net of the circle itself, and now are penciling down the players of IPG. On the other front itself, it is going to be Phantom for UI, bringing down the players of Gods Reborn. An incredible showcase of spray and control and perfect domination is being showcased in this fight, in this entire game rather, from the side of Phantom for UI.
Exactly, Phantom for UI. They really wanted the game. We just saw them not pretty much comfortable in terms of total point difference. As I perfectly mentioned, Emperor is really having a good time at this moment, and the team really have a good chance to get close toward the chicken. For the moment, it is going to be GS Legend that are just not stopping. With Gods Reborn falling down, it seems that it is a match where Big Empire is just falling down, and they are being ripped apart, as now IPG is really having a bad time for the moment. But fortunately, all the 4 players have been revived.
They most certainly have been revived. For a few minutes ago, it was, of course, ATR who was bringing in those nade parades against the players of IPG, but now it is Dictator who is just completely trying to decimate the competition. But certainly the nades are not on point. On the other tangent, we did have the small little view screen telling us that GR Esports had 1 final player cow remaining, but as soon as he tried to make that move, he will not be allowed to do so. It is going to be limit over the aggressive team that we've spoken about, taking down the players of Phantom for UI, and IPG on our screens is just absolutely trying to find out where is this team that they got naded from. Where exactly is this position? Because they have used so much of their utilities, but to no way.
ATR needs to check their back, but because if they give an inch towards IPG's player, it is going to be Dictator that will be first hitting them with a lot of them, and that will be really impossible for them to recover in this moment, because matches are actually happening, and now KSX are under the crossfire where Exitron Red Army gets 1 more knock onto them. But realizing the situation, now they are falling back. But is it enough for them? Have they made sure that they are not taking care of IPG's player? This is going to be a big question that will be answered in a moment or so. But for a moment, we are getting to see IPG, the players are slowly and steadily coming into the vicinity where ATR's player actually aligned, and Machoban brings the opening knock, but in doing so, he has been traded.
What a play, what a wonderful turn of events for IPG right here, as they do take on the fight to the players of ATR, and as they do so, they are looking very much in control. Dictator was the one who has been sent back from the side of IPG, but eventually when it comes down to ATR's placement, ATR not looking good, because IPG is completely dominating on top of them, and slowly but surely Mehfooz Whitey as well as Kabila have been able to pinch it down the placement of ATR, and eventually it is a fight that they've been able to control on their side. It is Faceoff taken on the front against the players of KSX, where KSX have lost 1 of their players and is knocked, but he will certainly be getting that revival, and right now it is Faceoff Esports who need to try and get a better half of this entire fight and site as well, because eventually KSX are getting that revival and will be then moving on along with the flank angle that Miraz has. Faceoff being out in the open can certainly be third party.
You remember Meliodas from this last game, and he was the one that really had an influential gameplay. And since he's having that M249, that mini generator can really create a lot of ruckus. But since face-off players are in a complete split situation, Rox can bring that important knock onto the player of KSX, and that can be real big dent and a shattering of hope is what I expect from their side. But on the other hand side, it is going to be GS Legends that are falling down slowly and steadily thanks to the onslaught that has come in from the side of Limit Over, as now they're marching into the last half of the circle. We are down towards the 25 minutes. And 5 teams and 13 players are still alive, and in doing so, it is Meliodas that is still surviving. Roger has gone down, Razor has been eliminated. Roger needs the revival, but Meliodas is making a big, massive dent onto the players of KSX.
They most certainly are, and certainly not allowing KSX to jump into the circle of comfort as well. And as of now, it is going to be Faceoff Rock, who has been completely decimating the side of KSX, and with that, only one player remains from the side of KSX. But IPG are still part of this arena. On the other side, it is going to be Limit Over, who have been dominating in terms of the kill department against so many of these teams. But with these 4 teams remaining, the circle is not going to be favoring anyone.
Exactly. I mean, no team apart from one team that is just holding the edge of the circle. Not pretty much. This is the partial way they are holding. But as you perfectly mentioned, no one is in the circle. And in doing so, it is going to be Meliodas that will show the urgency to move into the circle. And this might be a sort of bad move, because if you are moving towards a buggy, that eventually gives a lot of sound cues. But Limit Over's Igniter is on the edge of the circle, and that has not been spotted. With Siam 4 kills already into his bag, he is looking pretty strong at the moment. And if he actually performs in the next 3 or 4 minutes, it can be an easy chicken for them. But before that happens, it is going to be Sanhok that is really punishing ATRs, and ATR's last player have been put down to death. And with that, Exitron Red Army with 2 kills leaves the lobby.
Absolutely, 3 teams remaining right here. We do have IPG, who have been able to accumulate 8 kills for themselves. Same is the case for the side of Limit Over as well. And along with that, we are of course faced with Faceoff, Meliodas and Rox. So it is a 2v2v2 affair right now into the zone itself. And as we talk about the zone, it is certainly going to be the team of IPG who need to get inside the comfort of the zone. And as of now, it is going to be Limit Over as well as Faceoff who are going to be bringing on that brunt to the face of IPG. And IPG, they are going to be finding themselves in a tricky situation as they have to get into the zone, but it's not looking easy because the information certainly has reached Siam, and he is very well equipped and prepped with the DP that he's got.
Siam just surviving on a sliver of an HP is what is at the moment. But Meliodas makes the important knock from the sides of Faceoff, and it's all of a sudden looking pretty much bleak for the sides of IPG, as not only they have to come into the zone, the player needs the revival, and if the revival is not done, the blue will be taking care of him, and obviously for Kabila. And with that being said, it is gonna be Faceoff 2 players from this side that will be making a move into the zone. It's a mixing standoff that we're getting to see, and with 1 player getting eliminated, it is Meliodas that is making a move. 5 kills is what he's standing at this moment out of total 6. He is the one man to watch out for. With Kabila being spotted down, he is really susceptible whether the last player is alive or not, and it seems that Igniter's position has also been compromised. In doing so, it is the one that is making a lot of sound. Meliodas actually needs to find himself in the prone position for a long time now.
Well, Kabila being the man from the side of IPG, the one-man army remaining from the side, but eventually this is the 8th zone that we are in. When it comes to the Blues are going to be covering all of these teams within a matter of a few seconds. But as we move on down towards these final moments, it is turning into a lot of chaotic fights that these teams have been participating in, and have combined, of course, moved on to cut a lot of kills for themselves as well. But right now, when it comes to Faceoff, Meliodas is the man who is absolutely reigning supreme with so much of information that he's been able to accumulate, has certainly resulted in him moving on along and perhaps being the MVP of the team itself, with of course those 5 kills for himself. And as the journey moves on into the 28th minute marker for this game, it seems that we are going to be looking at the blue zone damage a lot more than the fights itself, because these teams have absolutely quieted down themselves. But it is Faceoff slowly but surely moving closer and closer to the players of Limit Over.
Whoever be the best snake in this match is going to be the one that will be getting acclamation and will getting that chicken in the favor. And not only that, a high fracking game is everyone. We get to see 8 kills is what IPG's Kabila and the rest of the teammates stand for the moment. And IPG is the one that is getting the favor of the circle, but certainly not the terrain, with which resulting him being spotted down, and Meliodas has spotted him down. Kabila is still surviving having 20 HP. He switches the guns up to Scarlet and he is opting to finish him off. But before that, it is going to be Igniter that will getting the kill.
Absolutely, and with that we are left with this perfect turn of events where Faceoff Esports' Rox has moved on along to take on the fight and eventually limit over. Sam had the question to be answered, but he was not able to do so, and the spray working in favor of the team. What an incredible turn of events for Faceoff indeed. They walk off this perfect game on the 7th rank in the overall leaderboard with 8 kills, 1,419 damage that they were able to dish out throughout the game with 23 points. An amazing play that Faceoff was able to showcase.
Indeed, it was such an influential game to just talk about Faceoff. I mean, a team that was really good in terms of the kill. I mean, when it came down to be passive, when it came down to be just not giving a lot of sound cues, this was also one team that was really good. And the third thing, the spot in technique, the spot on thing that, I mean, it's really tough. I mean, those grasses among them, if you're hiding yourself, I mean, that comes down to your experience, everything gets on the line, and then it was Team Faceoff that really made it possible for themselves. But really, it was also a good game for Limit Over and obviously for IPG and also for the rest of the lobby, because it was also a very high frag game for everyone that competed in the 1, 2, 3 and 4.
Exactly. I mean, on to was the first page of the leaderboard itself. These teams were looking really good. On to was the second page where it was Phantom for UI, who also had a decent affair this time around. But we shall see in the overall ranking if they remain on the 11th or will they be actually jumping up or not. In all of this though, MARTYRS Epsilon did not have a good game. They did not have a good fight. I mean, they were caught off completely against the players of IPG, and as they tried to make a push, they did not even get a single kill for themselves. With that, let's move on and have a look at the MVP, where again, I mean, the way this dude was playing Meliodas, he was, he most certainly will be getting the MVP. 5 kills, 801 damage with along with the 2 assists and only 3 healing done.
Just the 3. What? Just the 3. I mean, did he use drink or first aid, or maybe first aid eventually gives you a 75 HP, but what sort of healing done? What do you expect? What do you, I mean, I'm just not able to process. Just the 3 healing done. I mean, not any drink, not any painkiller. Eventually, that leads to somewhere down to the line to 30 or 30 more. But just the 3 healing done. I mean, that is something really very good coming in, and brilliant gameplay from Meliodas. I mean, this has been the guy from the sides of Faceoff in the past itself. And when he stepped upon into the game of Erangel, the penultimate game, obviously for the semifinals and the last day, obviously because at the end of these games, Group A and C will be getting exhausted. But before that happens, it is Faceoff that got the chicken, and in that Meliodas really sparkled the performance, and in doing so, it is also other teammates from the sides of Limit Over, where Siam was the one, IPG's Mehfooz YT and Limit Over's Igniter. And we're talking about that, we get to see match summary where Meliodas finds himself into the highest kill, and Meliodas again with the longest distance kill, and that is just 183 meters. And in this fight itself, we didn't got to see, in the last game itself, we didn't get to see a lot of semi to mid range fight. Every sort of fight that was erupting was around the area of school and those apartments and on those prone areas, so this was bound to happen, I guess.
True, that is so true indeed. But what a perfect start to the day this has turned out to be for the side of this team there. Faceoff Esports walk away with 8 kills, 23 points in total, but Limit Over not that far behind with 9 kills to them. Second position, of course, is what they found themselves on with 12 points in the placement. They walk away with 21 points, and following them is going to be Infernal Parasites with 8 kills and 10 placement points, thus resulting in an 18-point perfect play being showcased. Final touch, sadly, were not allowed to remain alive for long. Gremlin Storm as well. Sad start to this game.
Indeed it is. I mean, just the 2 points, and that eventually came in sort of kills. We saw this fight that was taken in, and just because of that, I mean, the 2 total points they took, so that was really brilliant.
Absolutely, and as the move progresses on, it is also going to be time to have a look at the OPPO F19 Pro moments, where we will be talking and going through all of these fights that started off, and it was Thundercloud who were at the receiving end, thanks to, of course, Phantom for UI, and eventually they did lose one of their players easy, but the way Phantom for UI then pushed on to the players of Thundercloud and eventually popped so many different players as well, was looking absolutely perfect. But this is when things got really tricky for IPG.
Indeed it is. IPG. I mean, I was talking about one more shift that could have come into the compound, but PUBG God certainly didn't favor them, and the circle actually went away from all these compounds. But before that happened, it was GS Legend that really had a good time, a merry time, a joyful time, thus eliminating one big team, MARTYRS Epsilon, that was on the 7th position before the start of the match. And when overall ranking will come in, we'll get to see what sort of toppling has been done. But before that happened, it was IPG that was just reigning supreme. Before that, I mean, just Kavila, it was him that was left alone. But Rocks here made it all possible for Faceoff, because the two players, it was not easy for the team and for the rest of the lobby to spot them, but Rocks was the one that brought the last final nail in the coffin. And with that, we head towards the overall ranking, where not much of change we get to see in the top 4, but in the 5 itself, it is Limit Over now having higher lead upon GR Esports, because GR Esports in the last match, they were just able to secure a total of 8 total points. And since Limit Over had got a really good game, the team that really got the hashtag 2 with a lot of points, with a lot of kills, is certainly on a move.
Absolutely, looking so very phenomenal in terms of their play. Gremlin Storm as well as IPGX find themselves on the 3rd and 4th spot respectively with 108 points, exact 108 points, working in both of those teams' favor. And as the journey continues on, Limit Over has also pushed on along to the 5th position right now. And when it comes to the 11th position, it is going to be ATR, Exitron Red Army, that has pushed on to the 11th position. But the points are so very close, where Phantom for UI is going to be just below them on the 12th with 72 points, but 1 point shy is all they find themselves. So again, a lot of opportunities that can be created in the next 3 remaining games, that maybe we'll see Phantom for UI maybe just participate and hopefully convert them into their favor.
But they were really looking good in the early stage of the game when they were taking the fight in the Yasnaya Polyana. But somewhere down the line, they just lost those players. One player was lost on, and then those bizarre circle shift, because we don't usually get to see 3 shift in the same direction, thus resulting, remember, IPG's retracing the path, and they were for the first 15 minutes just in the cars, and they were just moving here and there. But before that, it was one jump from the sides of GS Legend on 17th position. But the team and the lad and the guys really need to work hard, because it's the top 11 that goes and progresses forward.
Oh, yes, indeed. And final touch, even though I wanted to have that X Factor working for that team, eventually that's not going to be the case. But the day is not yet done. As you move on through the final page of this leaderboard, it is going to be Team IR who find themselves on that 28th spot. And this is a team who most of the times get caught off guard during their rotation, and that is what has resulted in them not having the best time in this PMCO's games. But we shall see what sort of a play will they be bringing in the next 3 games. With that, one game done, first game done. We've got 3 games remaining, like I said. Before we jump into the map of Miramar, we're going to go on a short little break. We'll be right back.
Shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? Kicking up the
Hello and welcome once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open Bangladesh Region 2021. All thanks to Oppo F19 Pro. We've got first game taken care of. Now we move on to the next game where indeed the schedule will be bringing up Miramar this time around.
The desert will be in action in a pretty quick time, as we got to see the very first game where Faceoff got the face of chicken, and what a way to start the day off. We got to see a really brilliant performance for Rest of the Lobby, but we really have some more to offer as we are jumping straight into this game of Miramar. The desert action is back. Again and again, I keep saying this word, I keep saying this thing, as now GR Esports are and will be taking care of their also drop location, a flight path that will be favoring the team that love to go towards the central line areas and also on the western side. But some teams we have seen in the past do love to go towards the area of Campo Militar and those extreme areas, and this is the saga, this is the storyline eventually, because at the end of the day certain teams will be getting the favor of those favorite applications, certain won't be, and in that situation how are they going to be strategizing them? That is going to be one thing that we just need to talk about.
That is true. That is so true indeed. I mean, it's about comfort level. It is about comfort level, but these teams, they have been playing the game for far too long now to of course find themselves in those sort of situations. Hopefully is what I would say, because again, I mean, no matter what sort of flight path these teams always do have one area or the other that they do find themselves comfortably dropping in towards. Right now it is going to be the teams, let's start on from the southern side where Phantom for UI are the ones going on down towards Minas del Valle. It is going to be IPGX who also find themselves going on towards Los Leones, and very close to them is going to be KSP as well. Seems like KSXX are also going to be trending in towards IPGX exact location, but the circle has gone completely to the eastern front where Minas General is the center of the zone for now, and the teams are going to have to make that rotation. El Pozo sees Gremlin Storm for now, and of course they are going to have to make that rotation, but right off the bat it is Team IR who have lost one of their players, and it is going to be none other than Black Diamond who seem to have gotten the better half of that fight.
Black Diamond need all these important points because they were not looking good. We saw them in the overall ranking, and this is where they have started things off, and an early kill, that means 1 point secure. But now it comes down to this is not the end, because just the 1 point won't be eventually helping the course of their objective to get secure. That means they need more and more kills, but how are they going to be doing it? As now they are sitting themselves finding in the fortified areas 1900 meter blotter. This is going to be a long journey and long pursuit for most of the team, and in doing so it is going to be Black Diamond that not only need to go into the zone, they have to take the points in terms of kill and placement points, and if that get accumulated, then only their qualification for the next round is possible. Else the future looks bleak, as we have gotten to see them not sitting good in the overall placement points. But anything can happen. I mean, all these lads have the commendable job, have done the commendable job, and are pretty much have the caliber in terms of getting the things done. 3 matches left. I mean, this Miramar, and next one the Sanhok, and last one being the Erangel. Pretty much doable if you just talk about that, because at the end of the day we have seen a chicken is where a team shy, if that gets into their bag, that's where they get right there on the top.
Absolutely, and that is something that's going to be so crucial as well for these teams. I mean, Team IR, they haven't had a good set of games for themselves. Of course, they find themselves pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole altogether, and that is certainly not going to be favoring them. But eventually, when it comes to the game itself, they do try their level best, and that is something that is commendable, no two ways about it. And as this game progresses on, it is of course Team IR and Black Diamond who have taken over our screens for now, but it is going to be a stalemate situation because Team IR is so far apart based on where they've dropped, and again that sort of a drop is going to make things tough for Black Diamond to be able to convert this into a kill. For now, of course, Black Diamond are busy getting their loot set up and sorted, and that is something that Team IR also should start working towards as we jump into this game. 4 minutes in, these teams are going to be making that rotation hopefully soon, because again, almost 2000 meters is what we saw a few of these players have to cover. And on the other front, when it came to the map itself, we also saw Gremlin Storm have moved on towards the western front as well, and they are of course for now the compound that they find themselves in are not contested, but they are also going to have to run from the blue zone itself. As we get back to the map itself, it is El Pozo that we see GSM in.
Indeed, and they have to make a move, and in doing so it is going to be if they do make it in the early stage, it is going to be an okay thing. Else, it is going to be a lot of time, and that will be congesting the area. Talk about GS Legend, talk about Thundercloud, talk about God's Reborn. The E Western side is being completely packed on, and with the fight that is still erupting between IR and Black Diamonds, one team will be slowly and steady marching in towards. So GSM will be having to have a very good call and a very strategized one in terms of the rotation and from where sort of direction, where sort of city that they will be choosing to make a move. But on the other hand side, it is going to be the southern side of Graveyard, where we are getting to see final touch up against to the players of Martyrs Epsilon. The fire is still not be given down, but the players are moving in formation onto different angles. The circle is completely covering 30% of total area into water bodies, but as soon as I said, it seemed like I spoke it too soon, as now Graveyard is becoming sort of Graveyard, because now if Martyr Epsilons gets a better half of all these important ridges, Final Touch can do anything. Can't do anything. They can be pinned down because there's a dip. There are certain compounds, there are those small ridges, but they will be just handicapped if that move comes in from the side of Martyr Epsilon.
Absolutely, Martyrs Epsilon looking very much in control when it comes down to the position itself that they find themselves in. Of course, reigning supreme based on where they're at, and of course they're going to be making a rotation as well to create that flank angle against the players of Final Touch, and this could be a troublesome situation for Final Touch, but we shall have to see if that will be the case or not. We do have Seth along with Thor making a perfect push against this compound, and of course that is going to be troublesome for Final Touch, but anything can happen, because we've seen Final Touch actually play some perfectly synergized play as well and have been able to dominate the entire lobby as well. So nothing taken away from Final Touch's performance or their gameplay. The only thing being the fact that their team is going to be very hungry for those points. But same is the conversation for Martyrs Epsilon as well. And Martyrs Epsilon has been that much more consistent compared to, of course, Final Touch. But again, it is going to be an equal fight between these two teams. As we move on to the map itself, we do see Martyrs and of course Final Touch find themselves towards the Graveyard region, and that is where we do see Thundercloud making a rotation as well. Will Thundercloud be the one that will maybe bring in some third-party situations and onslaught against this team? It is not going to be the case. It is not going to be the case for now. They are going to be stopping at the edge of the zone from the looks of it. Talking about the center, or pretty much the center of the zone, we do have the team of course, Faceoff Esports, the team that got the first game's chicken dinner, who are going to be finding themselves comfortably set up towards the junkyard region.
Pretty much good for the teams that are coming in. And I've just mentioned about Faceoff Esports in the satellite position, and this is one good game that they really need to have. And even if the circle goes for the harshest shift, they will be still sitting on the edge of the circle, and that is going to be basic thing. But KS Sax will be making a move from the shorelines area, and I'm sure about that. Both the Palacio, they still haven't moved an inch, and for the last 10 or 12 minutes for that passage of the game that the game have been in this course of the 7 minute of Miramar, we have seen them in the area of Porto Palacio, but God's Reborn completely making a close in into the Graveyard compound. But Aban goes down thanks to that onslaught that has come in from the side of Rep OV. But it is also going to be FT Final Touch from the backhand side. In all these situations, God's Reborn are going to be the one that will be facing the most blunt situation. But on to the other hand side, Martyrs Epsilon are taking two different fights into the same different area, where now one player from the side of Final Touch, Old Boy, has been brought down to the knees.
Well, what a play this is turning out to be. It is going to be GR's players get moving on along against the players of course Final Touch. And Final Touch is going to get the better half of that fight. And in fact, not only that, he's going to confirm the kill for himself as well. Emon off to a brilliant start for the side of Final Touch, and eventually on the outside of the compound, we are looking at, of course, Martyrs Epsilon bringing in domination against the players of GR, and Cow right here wants to, of course, get that revival. But first things first, he's going to have to patch himself up before he goes anywhere close to giving that revival. And Martyrs Epsilon are onto a forefront. They have lost one of their players, that's going to be Thor, but OV, Seth and Kabir are very much synergized, and it is going to be Tortor right now who is going to try his level best to try and pinch down the movement that is being showcased from Martyrs. But will it be enough? Because Final Touch is also in the arena, and Final Touch are wanting to retaliate with all four players alive. They are wanting to dominate, and it is Kabir who is on the running front.
Indeed it is. He is running away from all these fighters, but he's also trying to create that extra flank angle. But he's brought it on. A grenade can do the business, but no, in all this situation, he just fumbled out. I'm talking about Imon, but his backpack with his backhand side, it was pretty much close to where he could have taken out Kapiz. Onto the upper hand side will be taken care of as Imon was on the charge, and he was not just able to face the heat with which players from the final touch was coming in. But Martyrs Epsilon Saf can at any moment will fall down, and that is gonna be God's Reborn coming up on these fights. 3 kills already onto the way, and we just saw the urgency from the sides of God's Reborn where Totter just slammed in with that Ronnie truck. You remember when the fight was in on, that shows the desperation that how strategically and what sort of strategy and what sort of camaraderie the players share, and just because of that it's still God's Reborn surviving, because at that point they were looking too susceptible.
Absolutely, but sad state of affair for Martyrs. Last time also they walked away with only 1 point. That was thanks to the placement. This time around they won't be walking away with the placement point as well, because they've been eliminated on the 15th position, and not the kind of playstyle that was anticipated once again from the side of Martyrs Epsilon. But GR is the team that is reigning supreme as they get themselves the control of the graveyard. But right across this compound is going to be the team of Final Touch as well, and Final Touch were able to blow Sketch out of this entire saga, because it was, well, Sketch trying to push on, but it was Emon who got the better half of that fight. So incredible turn of events indeed for the side of Final Touch as well as the side of God's Reborn. But now the stalemate is going to have to retaliate into a perfect aggressive push from the side of Final Touch, because if they don't, GR are going to be able to dominate against them, because GR are looking absolutely momentous when it comes to the play that they are making in these games. And again, they know what is on stake. They know that this is going to be the final opportunity. This is the final game of Miramar for some of these teams. And again, when it comes to GSM, well, Gremlin Storm are in the open. They are in the zone, yes, but for the moment they are going to be moving to try and get the confirmation for themselves as to will the placement that they find themselves in be safe or not. Well, it certainly is not looking safe, because they are going to have so many teams around them, and the open is certainly not the place that you want to be. But right now it is Final Touch finally making a push against the players of GR. They are creating a wonderful flank, and it is going to be Imon right here who seems to be, well, trying to bait the players of GR with the smoke that he's been able to throw over there, where indeed as soon as GR tries to, well, bring in some utilities or sprays towards the smoke, thinking that the players are going to be making a rotation through there, it is not the case, because Final Touch have a different play altogether. But Imon, as he went on ahead to get some information, Cow almost was able to bring him down, but my word, he will bring him down. Cow gets the better half. Imon has been brought down.
2 players, 2 knock from the sides of Cow, and as you just mentioned, it was a smoke that was used from the left hand side just not to beat him down. One grenade can do the business for him. Eventually brings one more player that was trying to give the revival just to survive on to 30 HP. But for the moment, complete team of Final Touch is looking unsettled at the moment, and this is one team that have really lost all the 4 in some of the matches, but still looking pretty strong at the moment. They are going up against to one big team of God's Reborn. Just the 3 players surviving, but 3 players from the sides of God's Reborn are making it happen, are making it all possible, as now Final Touch player don't have any other option just to fall back and to be on the passive side. Rebel is just holding things back and strong for the moment, and he will be the X factor. As soon as the player will get the revival, I guess the fight will be still on. But God's Reborn should have gone, because they have given the important 30 seconds, and in that doing so, obviously 2 players will not only be revived, but the players will be patching themselves up, and once they will be standing with 100 HP, it will be again 4 men versus 3 men for the sides of God's Reborn.
Absolutely will be the case, and in that it is going to be Imon this time around who will get the better half of Cow right now, and it is GR Esports who have been left, well, scratching their heads, because it's only 2 players remaining. It is going to be Toto and it is going to be Aban, but we do know when it comes to the skill that Toto has, it is reigning supreme with absolute firepower that has been able to showcase again and again in the lobby. But as of course mentioned by Ankit, it is going to be Final Touch who will be able to get all 4 players patched up and brought onto their legs eventually, and will try and take on the fight for themselves. Cow has been sent back, and eventually it is going to be 3 kills confirmed for the side of Final Touch, and it is all in favor of Imon. On the kill feed, we are looking at, of course, well, never mind the kill feed right now, it is going to be GR's daughter who is just reigning supreme once again against the players of Final Touch. Rebel has been brought on down. This is not looking good, as Imon is the only man who will maybe be able to bring in some beautiful sprays, but will that be enough? Because Aban has a perfect flank angle on the other tangent. Going back to the kill feed itself, it is going to be Gremlin Storm who are just reigning supreme against the players of Thundercloud, and have eventually sent Thundercloud away from their opportunity to participate in any fight or kill department. As of now, Torter is absolutely in control of this perfect spray.
Exactly, and now GS Legend punishing the players of IPG, but moving on to the fight that is still erupting in the area of Graveyard, 770 meter, and the third zone is going to be a detrimental damage for both the teams, and the misery still continues for both, as now God's Reborn have got the players. They have a buggy, but Aban, it seems that he will be sitting on the backhand side of it, and so will be the players of Final Touch. Are now then given the revival, but do they have enough of first aid? But for the looks of it, I can see that Imran does just have six single bandages, some sort of painkillers and some sort of drinks that he will be using in order to patch himself up, but it is seemingly less possible for them to survive in all this situation. With Old Boy getting that one first hit, all of a sudden they look charged up and they will be going for a move.
Absolutely. They got 3 kills, they have 2 players surviving, and Final Touch is on the move. On the other side, talking about GR, well, they are also going to have to make that rotation. 700 meters far is what they are on the other side of the map altogether. Getting into the zone, we are looking at Faceoff Esports taking down the players of Sinner Esports as well. And in that, when we move on to the mini-map, it is going to be Gremlin Storm who have made that rotation, but the zone gets away and GR's Torter falls as they make that rotation. This is not looking good for GR.
Is this God's Reborn fall? This Torter fall might be the fall of God's Reborn fall, as we just saw one player was still in the blues and Torter was just sent with that single intent for the survival, but so was not the case, as now Plazen has also taken care of Final Touch with them sent to the lobby. It seemed that it is pretty much looking bleak. We talk about that fight, and that fight eventually elongated for a long time, but for the moment it is going to be the northwestern side which is in contestation, where Sinner Esports won't be allowing GSM to make a move into the zone. If GSM needs to come in, they need to have a very big challenge, because Sinner Esports won't be shying away to take all these fights. They will be looking to get all these fights, all these numbers and kill points secured in the favor, just in order to make a move into the overall ranking. But before that happen, it is again Limit over Igniter getting the M16 used into the favor, and this time Meliodas, the one that got the chicken for Faceoff in this last game of Erangel, is the one that is on the onslaught.
Absolutely, and on the other side of the fight itself, it is going to be IPGX taking on the players of GS Legends, and one by one GS Legends players are being knocked and brought down, and eventually in a matter of seconds, it is going to be IPGX reigning supreme against the players of GS Legends. 11 teams is what are remaining, 17 minutes into this game of Miramar. Limit over right now trying their level best to get some kills for themselves. We did see them bringing in some knocks, but eventually the kill has not been confirmed. On the other tangent, it is going to be 7C, which is going to the team Gremlin Storm moving on to push against the compound of Sinner and are certainly looking in control. And as the fights continue on and progress, it is these rotations that are going to be so very crucial. GR's Aban also falters down thanks to, of course, 7C Rafat right there. And along with that, when it comes down to play that this team is creating, Gremlin Storm is looking absolutely abysmal, because 6 defeats is what they've already been able to accumulate. And the way they're rushing against the players of Sinner, Tomato is the man who is on the receiving end.
He is on a run. He is on a run. Was on a run, I should rather say, because he is on a receiving end, as you perfectly mentioned. But now Gremlin Storms have their eyes set upon, after eliminating several players from the sides of Sinner. Now they have a complete eye upon over this compound, and if they get so, it will be a good chance. Tomato on to the receiving. He'll spot it down. Evil Eye just tried to pip it on a bullet, and realizing the situation, he just finds himself away. But slowly and steadily, it seems that Sinners are being ripped apart, are being torn apart, and they don't have any other option rather to falter down and fall down. And with this demise, it was a simple, easy task for Gremlin Storm to take over this compound. And now, since they have taken control of these compounds, they will be making a move, and in doing so, they have gotten 8 kills. Is that one big game that Gremlin Storm was eyeing for?
That certainly looks to be the case. I mean, they've already accumulated 8 kills for themselves in the 18-minute marker of this game. Absolutely perfect play being showcased from them. And right here we do have a Dictator realizing that yes, gravity is part of the physics in the game, and the smoke that he was trying to create, the smoke wall that he was trying to create has, well, of course, going to be working in his favor for now, and they're going to be moving away from the position that they found themselves in, because it was Team IR that was reigning supreme on towards the King of the Hill situation. And of course, the smoke helping their retreat is going to allow IPGX to get themselves in the compound favor, and of course all 4 players are still surviving. IPGX though are on a complete different tangent, where they are trying to take on a fight against the players of Black Diamond right now. As we saw in the kill feed, we are left with 9 teams remaining.
And in that doing so, it is going to be KSX that are getting the better half of the only compound spread from the northeastern side, and Team IR are really making sure that no other vehicle can get used for it, and they're trying to puncture down the vehicle. They are just trying to decimate the vehicle into getting charred down to its own HP, but IPG are on a roll, and this rotation has been really rooted, and Sanhok will be the one that will be the most, the last one in that, obviously, that combat that was going in. But in all these skirmishes, it is going to be IPG that is pretty much close towards IR. But this big hill, this big mountain is one good thing that is separating the fight. But the fight is not stopping. The fight is erupting. The fight is evolving as we get to see facing off towards limit over. And they are in the closer vicinity with Viliodas still surviving. Razor has been fallen down. And now limit over. Igniter goes down. That means Faceoff really have a good chance in order to survive. They really need to make sure, but no, this is going to be the case as now IPG is also taking the fight. But before that happens, it was 7Cs that had eye upon all these 3-4 teams.
Absolutely, Face-Off being sent. I mean, that is just turning into quite a lot of chaos, because it was IPG, it was Face-Off, it was Limit Over, and in all of that, on the other front, it was, of course, the team of IPGX also taking on a fight against Team IR, and eventually, it is Face-Off who get eliminated in this entire conversation. Limit Over, with one final player, Sayem, is going to be able to get away, but for how long? Because he is not into the comfort of the zone, and as he pushes on along to get away, this is not looking easy, because he has been spotted and he has not a lot of options to try and retaliate, because, well, he's a one-man army.
Exactly, one-man army is what he's standing at this moment, and one-man can actually bring a lot of fathom in just a moment or so. We can get to see whether he will be able to take the entire players down or team down, or it will be him that will be the getter half of this game. But in doing so, it is going to be Phantom for UI that has now spotted on the players. Kabila in a complete susceptible position, but he survived that onslaught. Hawkeye should have connected at least 2 shots, and if that could have happened, obviously IPG's Kabila could have brought down to his knees, but no, that was not the case. But now Mahfouz YT has been knocked down, as now Black Diamonds have started retaliating on all these players.
Absolutely, we did see IPGX participate in the fight against the players of, course, Black Diamond, but now Black Diamond are retaliating that push that IPG have showcased, and it is going to be Mahfouz YT who will be lost to the cause. And Infernal Parasites, the team of IPGX, now finally reigning supreme against the players of Phantom for UI, because the spray that was made from the side of Phantom for UI is certainly not working in his favor. And what a play. This is how you spray, and this is the perfect domination that Sinks is right now showcasing.
Sanhok with that SLR coming on. We know this DMR really has a detrimental amount of damage, and since now it is the last stage of the game with 5th circle approaching slowly and steady, it is really tough to survive. And with the helmet getting broken down, it's just a 1 or a 2 tap shots away where IPG Sanhok will be taken care of. But Kabila is making sure that he will be getting the revival done onto Dictator with smokes being used. It is looking easy in terms of the distance, but that 15-12 meter is not going to be easy. Now Gremlin Storm is also looking strong. Domination mode is where BadBlood starting at this moment. We have seen Evileye getting closer and closer towards the number of kills, but this time it is BadBlood that has all of a sudden making a big move, and a big move has also been made, and a big blow has been thrown onto the face of Black Diamond as they have been thrown to lobby. With Kapshi getting the Grenadier title, they are looking pretty damn strong. 13 kill is where they are standing, and all 4 players alive, and the moment they are coming in from northern directions, it is going to be a very tough task for IPG to survive.
Absolutely, right here we do see Zynex right again, he is just so on point with the way that he's able to bring in those tap shots against the players of Phantom for UI. Phantom for UI not looking too good. They are trying to take on the fights, but they've not really been able to get any of them working in their favor. On the other side, talk about Gremlin Storm. This team has been able to accumulate 13 kills till now already, and now it is going to be IPGX against Gremlin Storm. An amazing saga that we had been waiting for, and eventually that fight has erupted, where Zynex will be throwing a grenade onto the players of course Rafat, and eventually it is going to be Rafat who will get the better half as he pushes on along, and Zynex has been brought on. It is a perfect spray that has been controlled from inside of Rafat, where Dictator and of course his teammate are going to try and push on aggressively towards Rafat, and eventually of course, what a play this team of Gremlin Storm have showcased in just a matter of minutes. Even though Rafat was brought down, the flow that was made the push that was made from the side of Gremlin has resulted in IPGX being eliminated, and 16 kills is what Gremlin Storm are looking at. Now
One more.
convert that into 17.
Add more, correction, add more, one more, 17. How much more? 22 was the number, I guess, where things started really making good for the sides of one team. And this time it is also looking good for Gremlin Storm, as Kapchi is now slowly and steadily using all those and looting all those crates that was surrounding him into the same area. They are now looking good as moment with Kapchi on the charts, with Evileye and Badriv and Rufford on the backhand side. It is going to be a tough affair for the rest of the teammates. And now they have to move to a different terrain where they might be exposed, but they have some different ideas, they have some different directions. As now Evileye is marching toward the small little shack, is making sure with the TPP angle getting checked that no one is left behind in him. And once he get hold of that, he will be finding himself in that position for a long time. But Badriv is just not stopping, and so is Kapchi as he brings one more knock onto Exitron's Red Army.
Absolutely, and Team IR's one final player surviving right there with the green dot that we can see was able to bring down one player, that was Kapchi, and now it's going to be Evileye who has been caught off, and it is going to be ATR getting the bat. No, it is going to be a kill steal from the side of Hex OP from Team IR. An amazing turn of events indeed for the lad, but eventually when it comes down to the way this player has been surviving for such a long time, placement points is what that lad is going to be walking for the side of Team IR.
And that is certainly going to be helping them. But for the moment, it is going to be again Exitron, Red Army. The players surviving, the players are surviving. And we have seen some sort of good performance, the resistance, the resilience, the team show. And just because of that, Error is still surviving. Every time we get to see a Exitron Red Army into the last circle, he is the one guy at least who survives. But in doing so, it is a big dent that has been thrown onto the face of GSM. Gremlin Storm has just been reduced to 2 players, with 2 players taken care of, Rafat, and 1 more player on the backhand side still surviving. But Team IR Hex OP is just not willing to give away his positioning. With Phantom 4 UIE Emperor going down, it is also not looking good for ATR Sweet Love as he is spotted down. But Macho Man from the backhand side takes care of HRX, as now he has been put down to the coffin, and now it is all down to 5 teams and 6 players alive. It seems that 1 player from each team, and certainly 1 more from the sides of Phantom UI.
Absolutely, Phantom for UI holding that reign for quite a long time, and Hawkeye combined with his teammate will certainly be able to pencil down the ATR's player, and eventually we're left with 4 teams remaining. We've got Phantom for UI right here with 3 kills for themselves. Hawkeye and Easy are the 2-man surviving. On the other front, it is going to be one final player, that's going to be Hex OP from the side of Team IR, and as this game moves on along, it is the final player of course, Gremlin Storm. That's going to be Rafat trying to reign in supreme with 5 kills that he's already been able to accumulate. 18 total kills for the side of this team. What a massive play this has turned out to be. With 3 teams remaining now, the conversation is going to be, well, Gremlin Storm have 1 player, Team IR have 1 player, Hex OP, and Phantom have 2 players. So this is a game that Phantom, if they're able to complete into their side, that team will most certainly be jumping back into the top 11.
Talk about anything, but the guy from the sides of Team IR, that is Helix OP. I mean, he survived this onslaught in all these situations, which was not easy to do so, but he has made sure that he will be getting that important 10 placement point, and in doing so, he will also be getting the kill point that he has secured for the moment. And now it is the time where there will be a stalemate situation where Rafat will be using the grenades and the smokes just in order to blind that same spot, and now maybe trying to take that right hand approach where he knows that Helix OP is already positioned, because a moment ago we just saw him hovering his crosshair onto different directions and where Helix OP is actually positioned. But certainly this is not going to be an easy task for Rafat. It seems that it is just a 10 meter, but once he moves into 10 meter, he is slowly and steady, just like a snake, he is moving in. But as soon as he comes close, it is going to be a task for him and also for the Easy from the side of Phantom UI to spot him down. Rafat is standing in the smoke, he has a different direction, he spots him down, takes him down. Easy is going down. It's now down to the only player surviving from the side of Hawkeye. What a game. I mean, this is what experience tells you, this is what experience teaches you. But in doing so, Hex OP is one team that really have a good chance. So now Molotovs are being used onto the players of Hawkeye, but he survives as Molotov just fall shots.
Absolutely, it is a 1v1v1 fight is what this has turned out to be. And 7C Gremlin Storms, of course, Rafat is the man who is in control of this fight. He is the one who's making moves in this playground, and in that, the battleground rather has turned really nasty for the side of these teams who find themselves on the onslaught of Rafat, and he's still not yet done. He is going to push that fight against himself, and what a play this lad is making. It is just absolutely ferocious turn of events. 1v1 situation against Hawkeye, where Rafat and Hawkeye, again is going to be Hawkeye, who has the better control, and it is going to be the health as well as the utility, and of course the... Wow, what a play. I mean, the helmet and of course the vest that was working in this final player's Hawkeye's favor is the reason that he was able to dominate. But again, Rafat, what a miraculous turn of events it was. Eventually, it is Phantom for UI who will get the chicken dinner. With that, they move on into the 9th position. So yes, they do find themselves in the top 11. But in all of this, of course, 19 points is what they got. But that is pretty much what, well, Gremlin Storm walked away with in terms of just the kill department, along with 12 placement points. I mean, Gremlin Storm making it known to the lobby that they are trying to jump all the way to the top of the leaderboard. And GG play is what this was, game.
What a game. I mean, Rafat, the man of the moment. To talk about anything, it was Phantom UI, nothing taking away from this team. This was a team that got themselves into the position, and also the Hex OP, but the man of the moment certainly has to be the MVP. 7 kill, 1337 damage, 7 assist, 443 healing done. The marker is, and the threshold is increasing as we are coming closer towards the end of the semifinals. It was 6 before, and now it's 7.
Exactly, with 7 assists, 7 kills, 1,337 damage dealt. This team of Gremlin Storm, GSM, is just a complete demonic annihilation that they are. And right now, because they know that this is going to be the final play that they're going to be making, well, they want to go out in style. And that's exactly what they are doing. The style is being showcased in terms of the raw aggression that this team has, with all 4 players chiming in to the top players list, apart from, of course, ATR's the Macho Man chiming in along with 3 kills and 653 damage that he was able to dish out. It is going to be completely dominated. That is going to be the top players from Gremlin Storm.
20 kill is what the team was able to secure, just accumulating all the team's points. But Rafat, the man of the moment, obviously featuring himself in the kill tally and also the maximum assist. As we just talk about that, IPG Dictator also comes into fray with most utilities used, and that is going to be 18. And you remember the fight that actually happened between them and other team. It was really tough to survive, and they were really making it possible happening. Rafat again in the highest damage tally, and it was 252-meter longest distance kill by KS Axe Ifty. But the man of the moment, again I am saying the man of the moment, Rafat, what a game for them. I mean, he used the smoke. I was really questioning his movement. I mean, I really didn't understand why he used the smoke, but he knew that while I'll standing the edge of the circle, I'll be using the third, obviously the TPP objective, and that advantage certainly favored him. And not only that, it was also Hex OP from the sides of IR that was taken care of. Eventually, the poor little guy didn't have anything to do in this situation. He was just on the receiving end as Rafat was just blowing big leads onto the heads. And with that, the match ranking, Gremlin Storm 20 kills, 32 total points. Phantom UI also making a big move, but certainly one more game that really didn't go into the favor that Sinner Esports, GS Legend, Thundercloud and Martyr Epsilon should have hope for. Martyr Epsilon, the hope are not looking good. I mean, their performance has been certainly in a downtrodden way.
Exactly, it's dwindling. It is certainly dwindling for the side of Martyrs Epsilon. With that, let's move on to the Oppo F19 Pro. Because, well, the kills that we saw from GSM were just not enough. Let's recap it through this, of course, perfect Oppo F19 performance. The highlight of the game, they will be showcasing Fire and Touch, taking a wonderful fight against the players of GR. It looked like this team should be able to get a few points from this fight. Eventually, they did. They did walk away with the 3 points that they did from this game. But eventually, as they ended up taking so much time, both those teams ended up losing to the play zone.
I won't be wrong if I'm saying that this is probably the best Miramar we have seen in this region, obviously in the PMCO, because every sort of fight we got to see in the early stage of the game, we got to see the fight erupting in the graveyard areas between obviously God's Reborn and 3 team in the same, and where Martyrs Epsilon was thrown away, and then it was a complete domination by Gremlin Storm and then Phantom 4 UI. I mean, each sort of aggression you talk about Phantom UI performance, the team was really not looking good, but these sort of teams, these sort of performance, Hawkeye with that working in the favor. We talked about that exclusive drop, that level 3 helmet and level 3 vest certainly helped him not get peppered down by bullets, else it was one chicken that could have gone to the favor, but nothing taken away for them. As I again say, with overall ranking standing get on our TV screen, Gremlin Storm after the end of 10 matches. Now they have successfully trespassed, but 2 matches more is what they have played, but certainly 70 kills, points and placement point is where they are sharing in the 140 total mark.
What are the chances? I mean, you look at Gremlin Storm's placement point and kill department being 70-70. And then the second team, sitting exactly with the same stats pretty much, 66 placement points, 66 kills, and what are the chances to that? But again, as we move on along, it is going to be Phantom for UI, who find themselves in the top 11 based on this play that they were able to make. But MARTYRS Epsilon, this team needs to be careful. They've got 2 more games remaining, and they need to be bringing completely different type of a play style altogether if they want to be even participating in the top 11. Because again, I mean, yes, Phantom for UI find themselves on the 9th spot. They've got 2 games remaining. Let's say they move on to the 8th. But then tomorrow, the other group, B and D, are going to be playing. So if B and D being that much more destructive, bring that much more aggressive into tomorrow's gameplay, then the teams who find themselves even in the comfortable 8th spot by the end of today will be brought on away from the top 11. And again, that implies that Phantom for UI, they have to keep on pushing. They need to move on to get as many points as they possibly can. And as we move on to the final page, it is going to be Team IR finding themselves on the 26th position. A decent play, as Ankit was mentioning as well. I mean, they worked on, they tried to get those placement points, and of course that is what they walked away with, so it's alright, it is a team.
Look at this, Thundercloud, 1 chicken, I mean 15 placement points, and in the rest of the 9 matches, they have just got 4 placement points. 9 matches, 4 placement points. Imagine the number of times they have been thrown right off the go when they started playing, and that was not looking good in their favor, but certain teams have really made it look possible to look good.
Absolutely have. With that, we've got 2 games taken care of, 2 more games remain before we jump into game number 3 on Sanhok. We're going to go on a short little break. We'll be right back.
Here we go now.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? Kicking up the dust, you know what I mean. We got a good thing going. We got a good thing going.
Hello and welcome once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open Bangladesh region. All thanks to Oppo F19 Pro. We are on the 5th day. 2 games are done, of course, and 2 more games remain. 2 final 2 games remain for these groups A and C that are playing. And in that, it is going to be Gremlin Storm that has found themselves the top of the leaderboard, but that's not it. Like I said, 2 games are remaining. That means that we shall have a look at the schedule, where indeed we are going to be faced with Sanhok now. And again, I mean, we were talking about Final Touch initially when the day started off, Ankit, that hopefully Final Touch will be able to jump away from that 18th spot and get into the game. And it's not going to happen now, I don't think.
Future looks bleak. Future looks bleak because there are other teams that are trying. Just imagine, I mean, this game MARTYRS EPSILONes because their position was slipping away. And since team like Final Touch that you just mentioned need to actually trespass some other team, it may be MARTYRS EPSILONE somewhere down the line. But just imagine if MARTYRS EPSILONE all of a sudden starts performing in this match, it is going to be a tough affair for all these teams. And in doing so, it really needs a big Herculean effort, a big effort, a big leap is what we expect. If that comes from the sides of Final Touch, it is going to be the last these 2 games that we just got to see, the Sanhok, and followed by the last game for Group A and C, and that is going to be of Erangel. But the opportunities are just 2 left. 2.
That is it. And in that also, as so perfectly mentioned by Ankit right now, that when it comes to MARTYRS EPSILONE, the eyes are going to be goes on towards that team. What sort of a play are they going to be making? Because they are so close to being toppled over when it comes to the top 11. And that is not the play that is required. On the other side, on the other front, Phantom for you also find themselves on the 9th position for now. So in the top 11, going to be working in their favor. But will they be able to maintain and retain that spot by the end of the day is another thing to talk about. Because only, as we've kept on saying it, only top 11 teams will move on into the finals itself, as 5 teams have been invited. You've got Venom Legends, you've got A1 Esports, XB Blood Legion, INES, as well as, of course, Black Bulls. So it is going to be a conversation where these teams who are playing right now, they are going to have to bring in everything perfect with every single game. With that, let's jump into the Sanhok map and find out where the flight path is going to lead us.
Okay, so we are on the Sanhok map and the flight path is going slowly and steadily from the area of Camp Alpha downtown to the area where Bantai actually ends, and a completely western dominated flight path. But irrespective of that, the teams will be jumping off. They will be having a good say, as now Phantom 4 UI, as time and again we have seen in the past, and this time itself it is going to be the Khatin area where they are finding themselves in same positions, and slowly and steadily bootcamp will also be some sort of contestation where may we get to see, because still now the most of the Miramar, obviously the Sanhok and of different regions, we have seen either Paradise Resort or bootcamp becomes the hot bit of contestation. And yes, there we go, IR is giving a challenge to Gremlin Storms.
Well, let's see what sort of a play will these teams be making this time around. When you talk about the north, it is going to be Khatin, where Phantom for you find themselves all 5 by themselves. On towards the western front, it is going to be Black Diamond as well as IPGX, who are going to be retaining that position for themselves. And very close to the vicinity of Phantom for you is going to be the team of Sinners from the looks of it, because we can see that Phantom for you's Emperor is taking shots, and it seems like it could very well be the team of Sinner that might be the one at the receiving front. On the other front, Paradise Resort, it is going to be Thundercloud, who have already taken a knock. It is going to be Bishal, who is not off to a great start, because Faceoff Esports have taken a perfect spray.
Expected a fight in bootcamp. Not this time, but there we have into the area of Paradise Resort. 2 teams are getting collided, as now IR is pretty much close to where the players are there, and some real good actions. He was making sure, he was just checking whether what sort of bullet is just required, how many bullets are required. If that get connected on the head of opponent enemy, that will be taking him down. But for the moment, it is going to be Thundercloud, the early player. And in these vicinities, there are 3 teams present, and surprise, the players are still alive, but I don't see some sort of assistance. The players are there, but on some different flank angle, as 2 players are still surviving with, along with this one, that makes a rule of 3. There are not of loot into his hand, because we don't see even a backpack onto his back. That means the lad must be short of all these bullets and those rudimentary loots, but the player needs to fall away from all this situation, because Thundercloud is not one team that really need to mess off, but it seems that they really don't have much to miss and much to lose, because they are still on the 4th half of the chart, and all they can go is with the gun approach, and is what I expect.
Well, certainly. I mean, try and take the fights as to the best as you possibly can and walk away with the experience and come back through another tournament to, of course, participate in that many more wonderful opportunities. That is what these teams who are finding themselves at the bottom of the leaderboard should be working towards and not completely give in to the possibility that no, nothing is possible. But yep, that is exactly the way play that is being showcased as well. So good mindset is what I would say for these teams who are, even though at the bottom of the leaderboard, are certainly showcasing. And that is going to be Thundercloud on our screens right now, who have lost one of their players, that's Vishal. But eventually, as the journey continues on, it is going to be another team that is going to be in the vicinity of Paradise Resort itself. And fight on the other tangent is moving on against the players of Martyrs Epsilon. Once again, Martyrs Epsilon find themselves in the first few minutes of the game itself in a lot of contestation against the players of Limit Over. Limit Over have been able to confirm those 2 kills from the side of Thunder, and now are going to be moving away, or rather IR, sorry, and are going to be now moving away to get themselves to the safety of another compound.
Exactly, and that is one good thing that they really need to do at this moment. Is fallback is the only safe option, safe haven. And talking about safe haven, it is going to be Roger that is playing into from the sides of Faceoff, but all of a sudden 3-man squad is what the lineup is playing with for the moment, and with the all players loitering around, it is going to be an easy task for Destroyer. If he tries to spot him down, it will be an easy kill for him, as Sinner is also onto the last of the chart, and this team won't be shying away to take the fight, because not much of thing is worth what they would lose, even if they end up losing up the fight.
Well, we shall see what sort of a play is going to be made. Right now, we are just 4.5 minutes into the game itself. Sinner Esports finding decent amount of loot for themselves as they progress on along. The team is holding on to the compound and waiting for another to try and rotate through their area, and as they do, perhaps that is when Sinner Esports is going to probably retaliate and showcase their perfect synergistic play. But for now, it is just a slow start to the game where teams are just getting themselves acclimated with different placements and the loots being segregated for themselves. Faceoff Esports chiming in along with just a 3-man squad this time around are also going to be playing with the exact same factor, which is going to be a passive approach for the moment, and very close to their vicinity is going to be Sinner Esports as well. And Sinner Esports are also hunkered down into their compound and are not going to be making any rotations or moving on aggressively. But talking about aggression, it is looking like Black Diamond has been bought off guard, and it is IPGX where they have gotten the better half of this fight, and Jigsaw and 1v4 has been brought down, and will certainly be taken an onslaught, because this is not looking good for Black Diamond. From one side to the next, it is just players being completely drenched in their blood, and eventually IPGX will be able to convert those points into kills for themselves. Convert those kills into points for themselves.
Definitely 2 early kills is what the players stand at this moment, and Rochi, as soon as he will be taking care of it, is going to be a Dictator basing him shot, but as soon as spot is down, it will be QBZ into action, obviously, and that is one good thing that Infernal Parasite needs at the moment. But on to different direction, it is going to be IR that is really punishing. 2 players has gone down, bad river with Kapchi has fallen down, and a beautiful prone shot, thus resulting in 2 different players. Rafat is pretty much close towards them, or will it going to be a big massive turnaround in this very early stage of the game? It is very much probable, it is very much preemptuous. If we just talk about that, with bad river leading off, Rafat every time he comes into favor, he will be the one who will be taking the charge, and it seems that he is the only one surviving. But no, Evilai is also one player from the backhand side, and CubeX OP knows it to perfection, as he has now again held down to the same area where he was holding before.
Absolutely. Phantom for you, I take a blow right here where they have one of their players already killed, and another player, that's Hawkeye, down on his knees, and it is going to be GR who are going to be reigning supreme and trying to push on along. A perfect play is what GR is showcasing, where Tota is onto the back angle, and they have created a perfect flank angle for themselves. For now, Emperor is the man in charge of this push and fight, but eventually when it comes to Hawkeye, he will be getting that revival, and of course will try and move on along. But in that, it is of course a perfect nade from Cow from the side of GR Esports. Gods Reborn are reigning supreme against the players of Phantom, and Emperor has been brought down to his knees with just 2 players remaining. Eventually again we move on to a conversation that Team IR were having against the players of Gremlin Storm. It is going to be Rafat that will take a blow and will certainly be annihilating Team IR.
Talk about annihilation, and it is going to be Phantom that is really annihilating the player. Sketch has gone down, and now this grenade from Koa can actually put a big dent, but still not enough, as Koa is now taking to try and make a move, and he will be taken care of. He's just trying to show the back, and this is no more reason just to need to take the fight head on head. Just show your chest, rather not to say show your back, and just because of that, the player is fall down, and now Totter is being burned down to death as now Molotov has connected to his perfection, thus bringing down Totter to just surviving on 46 HP, and that's the moment where Phantom for UI, all the players will be out in the open to take the fight, with Hawkeye charging from the right direction and Easy from the left hand side. It is going to be a complete squad wipe out. All credit to the guys for Phantom UI. I mean, what a fight they have actually taken care of. It was not an easy task for them because it was them that were getting the better half. At the start of the game, it was them that got the early knock. God's Reborn was charging in, but the way they held the small little hut, and then when it was important for them to go for the charge in approach, the player realized that it is God's Reborn that is on the back foot, and when they're back foot, why not to try at the same position? And they tried it to perfection and made it possible for themselves.
Phantom for UI, I mean, they took 3 knocks in that fight. They took 3 knocks, but were still able to get their teammates revived and still maintained, did not lose any of the players. Of course, the one player that was lost initially was never part of the fight, but eventually the 3 players that did participate in the fight, Easy, Hawkeye, and Emperor, they all remained on their feet by the end of the game, by the end of the fight, and of course, moved on along to take on a team like God's Reborn. So a perfect approach being showcased from Phantom, and that is exactly what they need to do to be able to accumulate point after point game in these games, so as to confirm their slot in the top 11 as we move on through the game itself. It is going to be an interesting performance being showcased from the side of Gremlin as well, because when it came to Gremlin, they were on to the receiving end through Team IR, but eventually it is going to be Evil Eye and Rafat who are now going to have to play the game, play their cards right, and hopefully get a few more points working for that team's favor. ATR from the south making a rotation southeast, and of course this is a team of Exotron Red Army that has been decent in terms of their play, but of course when it comes to the top 11, it is looking tough situation for these teams.
Definitely very tough, pretty tough in terms of what they are having at this moment, and also a tough time for ATR as they are now facing the blues, but they really need to come out of all these blues and blacks and find themselves at the golden spot at the top 11, and I'm sure that they will be finding themselves in the objective throughout this course of these last 2 games that is pretty much left. With Sanhok's second airdrop in its way, it is going to be offering an AUG with the level 3 vest and obviously the customary thing that is going to be the helmet, but for the moment it is again, I mean, Phantom for you. I mean, what a fight that it took, and now it's a time where they might face the onslaught that can come in from the sides of FT, but for a moment it is going to be Sinner Esports that is pretty much close towards all these teams are actually positioned, and one thing is for sure that Circle is now will be constricting towards the area of Camp Bravo, and in that it is going to be obviously FO and teams like GSM, and also teams, the one player surviving from the size of IR, that is going to be QXOP, will be getting the favor of it. But Black Diamonds are really having a bad time at this moment, because till now they are facing a lot of blues, and they are still in that cataclysm, they're still in that predicament that where sort of rotation should we make, and how will that be healthy for us or not. But for the moment, a lot of team are still in the blue. Talk about ATR, this is also one good team that is still coming out of the blues. Paradise Resort is where Thundercloud is still positioned, and in the same proximity it is going to be a limit over.
Absolutely, and as the game progresses on fourth, it is going to be Black Diamonds. Vortex making a rotation from the Camp Alpha Island to get into the zone itself as he's on the run, but it is also IPGX who are very much in the vicinity and might just surprise Black Diamonds Vortex, but we shall see if that will be the case or not. On the other front, when you talk about the northern side of Quarry, we've got Gremlin Storm who have been not Gremlin Storm, my apologies. It is, of course, KSX that I was wanting to mention, who have been stuck onto that compound and onto that position for a long time. Same is the case for MARTYRS Epsilon as well. But where is the next fight going to be broken out? It is going to be a lot of stalemate situations that we see these teams in, but eventually the fights are nowhere across. We have, of course, Thundercloud back in the Paradise Resort. This is where Thundercloud absolutely made that legendary emoticon spray, and of course were well, again, when it comes to PMCO Bangladesh region, that was a highlight from Thundercloud is what I would say, because that's how the viewers are going to remember them as well, because they were just absolutely having a wonderful time in that Paradise Resort all by themselves.
Gala time they had it pretty much at that point, and some real good emoticons we got to see, and that was the way this PMCO of Bangladesh started off in a style, in a fashion. We got to see some good fights, and then there were some many moments for the teams that really had a good hands upon the Paradise Resort. But for the moment, it is Gremlin Storm that is on a move. As soon as the circle went for a shift, now the two surviving players, the two lone survivor players, I would say, because they only have Rafat and Nevilai. We have seen what Rafat is capable of doing in the past itself, and we just saw a glimpse in the last game of Miramar itself, and he is gonna be the one that will be leading the charge, and the team is pretty much capable in doing 2v4 or 2v3 in that case. But since it's a game of Sanhok, it's pretty much tough, because whenever you come in a fight, there is a multiple direction where you get shots upon, and sandwich situation is what you can expect. And then there is a lot of teams that really have their hungry eyes set upon you to take you down, and that can be a sad demise if that happens. Only these all are going to be the case, but more often don't we get to see Arctic Porkfare Magnum with that AWM, with that complete level 3 kit that is getting slowly and steadily onto the land, must be and can be used if the player wants to. But as soon as the circle has gone for a shift, each and every team, not only just Gremlin Storm, not only just Sinners, it is also KS Axe, the team that really started things off pretty well when they started this PMCO journey for this Bangladesh region. They got those important kill points and those important placement points, and now they must be looking to emulate the same sort of performance when they are heading towards the end part of the semi-finals. And with that being said, it is a big chance, big chance for Martyrs Epsilon. They have to make a big this game at least, because I guess they were standing on that 11th and 10th position with a total of 88 points or so, and they need at least 100 in order to be on a safe side, and that safe cushion eventually will help them in order to progress for the finals.
Absolutely, and that is going to be something that they also perhaps realize, and therefore they're playing so dormant in this game. On the other side, it is going to be Faceoff Esports taking on the players of a limit over from the kill feed that we just saw, and it is going to be in the Paradise region itself, where we have KSX Axe chiming into the arena. Now, if they actually decide to go on to the Paradise Resort altogether itself, it is going to be Thundercloud waiting for them. That this is a fight that we saw in the kill feed, where Faceoff Esports did take on the fight against the players of Limit Over. A long-range fight indeed is what it was, and it was Nitrogen, from the looks of it, who was at the receiving end. And in the vicinity is also going to be the team of Final Touch. So a lot of teams who seem to have found themselves these compounds, but are going to be absolutely waiting and waiting, because the zone is favoring them, and they do not want to be taking any unnecessary fights from the looks of it. And of course that is to be anticipated and expected, because the teams know what is at stake. You have the, of course, finals, the regional finals. Along with that, if you are going to participate in that, you've got $29,200 on the line as well. But of course that is only going to be participated if you end up being in the top 11 at the end of tomorrow. And that is a conversation that these teams know is going to be a tough one, because, well, for them, this is going to be their final day. Even though we are going to move on to tomorrow's game with the Group B and D, that Group B and D have sort of few of those teams will have these teams' fate in their hands as to how they play. So a lot is on the line, and it makes clear sense for them to now finally kind of bring in a slow stance to their gameplay, and that is what this entire lobby seems to have realized and is showcasing right now.
Exactly, and as you get to see slowly and steady, as you perfectly mentioned, no one is just ready to give an inch of the land, and as this slow start of this Sanhok is on its way, we might get to see now the fights may explode at any point, to a point where we might get to see an even explosion, as now slowly and steadily IPG is trying to come to a direction where Sinner Esports are actually positioned. Tomato is making a move, but they need to make sure it is going to be IPG complete squad that is coming in slowly and steadily. Tomato getting a lot of shots on the backhand side, but this chance, I would say again, it was a missed chance, because he shouldn't have given those fire. And now, since the direction and the exact position of IPG's players are known, it is a no chance where Sinner will be again exposing themselves. A lost opportunity is, I would say, but they still have a chance to take the fight, because IPG is one team that really has the caliber, that really has the prowess to take 4v4 fight, and in that doing so, it is going to be Cynix that has now also joined in. That means the numbers advantage that were IPG lacking in a moment ago is somewhere down the line that they are being favored with. Dictator is being hounded by a lot of grenades, but from the backhand side, it is going to be FO that is making a move onto the players, and Tomato has all of a sudden been thrown to the lobby, and that kill has certainly been stolen by GS Legends.
Absolutely has been the case, and what a play this has turned out to be. Indeed, in doing so, we are finally now chiming in with the fights in this game. 18 minutes is where this fight is breaking out, and in that we still have 14 teams remaining. Remember, only 15 dropped on into this game, and this has turned into quite an extensive Sanhok that has been showcased from these teams. But eventually now, as the circle keeps on constructing itself, it is going to be forcing these teams to take on a fight, and it's going to be none other than Infernal Parasites who are going to be bringing in that onslaught to the players of Sinner, and eventually Sinner will lose Sherlock as well, and they have only 2 players remaining, Destroyer and Godfather, who are in the vicinity. But eventually it seems like Dictator from the side of YPG has been brought down onto his knees, so of course the revival will be required over there, but it's not going to be an easy task because the team of Sinner are just absolutely hammering down with those utilities that they're trying to bring on. But what a spray that was from Kabila, and Godfather just in a matter of seconds has been brought down to his knees, and in that Destroyer, the man who has the answer now towards the position and the push coming in from the side of IPG. Will he be able to retaliate? No is the case because of the health, because of the damage that his utilities had taken. Eventually he will be brought, and it is going to be IPGX looking really good because it is Mehfooz Whitey. Well, I just brought it on, and it is, yes, just Mehfooz Whitey who is remaining because the other 2 were knocked, and eventually Gremlin Storm gets the better half of that fight, and Evil Eye will be stealing that kill.
Definitely, Evil Eye getting that kill, and as soon as you spoke, it is going to be the fight that is erupting, and Martyrs Epsilon certainly not looking good. Off-colored is where they are at, and Martyrs Epsilon Saf has been taken care of, and now the 2 players, the 2 lone survivor from the sides of Gremlin Storm, it is going to be Evil Eye and Rafat are marching into the circle, but the question still remains, how are they going to make an entry into the circle? They are holding the edge of the circle, but in all these fights, it was GS Legends that really had a good shy upon, because all the fights were happening, and all of a sudden it was them that really take up the kill. And talking about the kills, it was Mehfooz Whitey that for a sudden was pinned down by GS Legend, and just because of that, it was then easy for Gremlin Storm to get that kill secured, as just perfectly mentioned. But now death from the sides of GS Legends is being pincered down, as now KSX are coming into the fight from the southern side. The rotation is coming in, and as soon as the players are coming into the circle, a lot of fight is erupting, and all of a sudden it is going to be an elimination, an early elimination for GS Legends. I was really didn't expect to happen, but this has been the case for the moment, as now GS Legends have been thrown to lobby. It is also going to be a tough chance for Exitron Red Army to take up the fight 1v1, and Play Zone is taking a big dent onto the players of Exitron Red Army, and also to the players of Martyrs Epsilon, as they didn't make a move in the early stage of the game, thus resulting them falling down to the Blues.
Well, what do we have here? We've got Final Touch chiming in along as well, taking on the players of Phantom for UI, and an amazing spray control being showcased on the side of Final Touch has resulted in Phantom for UI being sent back in the lobby, and of course we do see in the kill feed Gremlin Storm also chiming along, and suddenly we are down to 8 teams remaining in this, where Infernal Parasites have been lost to the cause as well, and KSX Axe are looking very good in terms of the way that they are just pushing on along, and in terms of the control of the circle as well. But will it be enough for this team to walk out with a chicken dinner? They have all 4 players alive on the other side. When it comes to Gremlin Storm, the definition of course destruction was showcased from them in the previous game, but this time around they were caught off guard, and it was none other than Team IR who were able to actually pincer down Badrave as well as Capshi. But now, as these 2 players try and bring in the onslaught to the remaining teams in this list and then in this lobby, it is going to be the side of Final Touch who will not be allowed to enter through this area, because this is going to be controlled from Gremlin Storm, and it is Evil Eye who is going to have the final say in this fight, because of course his teammate has already been able to get 2 of the kills confirmed. And yep, with that it is going to be Evil Eye pushing on along and taking those kills confirmed for himself, and it is going to be Final Touch not looking good. Faceoff Esports on the other front is also taking on fight against the players of Limit Over, thus remaining are only 6 teams alive.
And in that, 6 kill is what the Gremlin Storm has got for themselves. These 2 teams are bringing a lot of ruckus, a lot of annihilation gameplay from their side. Rafat again on charge, did one rookie mistake, and in doing so resulting in him getting so much of leads being peppered on his body, and also on his teammate with Evil Eye getting down. It was a bye-bye for GSM.
Absolutely, and it is going to be Faceoff Esports who have been slowly but surely taking on a lot of fights and have been pincering down so many of these players with just a 3-man squad. Faceoff Esports looking really dominating in this compound and have been absolutely in control of the fights for themselves, as well as they've got 6 kills with just a 3-man squad, but same is the case for KSX as well. And along with that, it is going to be Exitron Red Army left with just a 1-man squad for themselves. And for now, when you talk about the circle, when you talk about the zone, it is favoring KSXX. And Faceoff Esports, yes, they've been able to get a lot of kills from this compound, but sadly now they're going to have to leave the safety of that, and that is something that is probably not going to be an easy task because KSXX have themselves spread out across, and this final player, Sweet Love, is trying to remain alive with as much of the first aid that he possibly can, but this is going to be his final first aid, and of course he is probably going to lose this battle to the zone from the looks of it as well. If not that, then KSXX on top of the hill will certainly be able to bring in the blow and of course take the fight to the face of Sweet Love.
Almost, just a meter away, and just because of that he fell down, but sooner or later he could have come down. The player from side of KS were just ready enough to take down the player, but in doing so, a trade has been brought on, but the fight is still on. Two players from the sides of, obviously Faceoff are up against the three players from the sides of KSX, where Meliodas is trying to pin a grenade, but from different directions. He is also being peppered down with a grenade, but his grenade connects. Meliodas again making a move out of the total 6 kill. He is getting the 3 kills, and remember, in the game of Erangel itself, he was the one that got the MVP title. This time again, he is the hero, he is the X Factor, and he is the warrior for Faceoff itself. Now he is moving on a chart. The players are getting the revival. It seems that it is time where Meliodas should have gone for the flank, should have gone for the aggressive push, but it seems that they have lost a lot of time, and if the player gets the revival, it is going to be too tough to handle them.
Well, Meliodas fights all by himself against the entire team of KSXX. It will not be favoring him. It is going to be KSXX moving in with the chicken dinner. What a perfect play this has been. Is it a bit too late is what I would ask, but eventually a phenomenal gameplay is what has been showcased from KSXX with 24.9 kills is what they walked away with, and 4th position is in the overall ranking where KSXX have moved up to. So phenomenal turn of events. But again, the play that was of course being showcased from the side of Meliodas, Faceoff Esports was looking really good. But like I say, I mean, will that be enough?
That is going to be the question. That is going to be the question. But it seems that now they are sitting in a safe haven with the hashtag 4th position, with one just more game left. They will be giving a big challenge onto the players with one last game into the favor. I mean, they started the day off at the 9th position with a total of 72 total points. But in all these 3 games, when we didn't got to see a lot of KSX in the game of Erangel and Miramar itself, but they were consistent in terms of total points they did secure. And from 72 to where they're standing, they have made a big jump onto the hashtag 4. There is one more game left. That means one more opportunity. But we need to talk about Faceoff. Now the team has got 2 back-to-back, not back-to-back, but 2 hashtag obviously top to finish. One being the chicken dinner itself, but this time itself it was again Meliodas. That grenade actually changed the tempo, and I was really excited for a moment because whenever Meliodas performs, it is Faceoff that gets the better half of it. But certainly this was not a time as numbers was not favoring them, and again, nothing taken away. I mean, this was the guy that was really making it possible. Whenever a Faceoff performs, Meliodas find himself getting that bragging right, the title of MVP. This time again, 3 kills, 694 damage, 29 minutes 49 seconds of survival time, just the 1 assist and 86 healing done.
Absolutely, and that has resulted in Meliodas being the MVP. But along with that, let's move on to the next start, which is going to be bringing in the top players, the top 5 players from this game, and that is of course going to be showcasing what the other teams and other lads in the lobby have been doing, because again, we did see a very slow start in this fight. It was almost till the 17th minute marker that we had seen only a few select fights, and then after that it was the restriction of the zone that resulted in these teams having to take fight and push on against each other, and that resulted in a very incredible play for the side of Faceoff. But eventually of course KSXX walking away with decent amount of kills for themselves. As we move on to the top players list, it is Gremlin Storm's Raffles right here with 460 damage that he was able to deal with. 4 kills, he finds himself on the 2nd spot.
Exactly, I mean, Rafat was also a go-to the player for the sides of Gremlin Storm. Some unfortunate event is where Gremlin Storm just find themselves into, and because of that, it was him and Evilai surviving for the long time, but they made sure that they had got those important placement points, and in doing so, it was Rafat that found himself in the top 4 player list at the 2nd position. And moving all along, we have match summary where MARTYRS from the sides of KSX is getting the maximum assist title for this time. Meliodas with highest damage, GS Legend. This is also one team that was looking good with the intent, with the fight they were taking in, but 274 meters death was the longest kill that got registered in this game of Sanhok. But a lot of points being shared. We talk about 24 to KS, Faceoff got 18, Gremlin to 12, Limit 11, Exitron 11. A lot of teams and a lot of kill points have been shared, as kill points have also been shared in ratio of 9:6:6:1 between all these top 4 teams. And then it was Martyrs Epsilon, one more bad game. I mean, we talked about them getting close to the century, but that has certainly not happened in this game.
Well, that has certainly not happened indeed, and with that, we will move on to the Oppo F19 Pro moments, which will once again showcase that when it comes to the fights eventually started erupting at the 17-18 minute marker, and that is when these teams absolutely started reigning supreme. It was, of course, the side of GSM who were caught off guard against Team IR, thus only 2 players remained, but those 2 players also were able to accumulate 6 kills for themselves along with the 6th placement point. So a decent outing for the side of Gremlin Storm. And as we push and move on to the other teams, there were so many teams who were part of this fight and part of well, again, I mean, the kills department, it was not dominated by just one team, and that is what results in the lobby having a good outing. And this time around, that is certainly going to be the case. With that, let's again have a look at the Oppo F19 Pro moments. And of course, this is when the fights erupted, where it was Team IR bringing in some dominating plays against Thundercloud.
Definitely, Thundercloud on receiving in the game. It was just the 1 minute 15 seconds, and they were being pinned down. And then it was IPG that getting important. Those ridges on those hills is where they started dominating onto the players, but then they just lost the momentum as they headed towards the fight. But before that, it was also Gremlin Storm that was pinned down completely by Cube OP from the sides of IR, and he was taking obviously care of before going down. It was Osama that made it sure, but Phantom 4GI, what a game for them again, because they took the fight to its perfection. You remember the fight between them and obviously Boss Reborn, they will get to see in the later of the game. But GSM also was looking good until unless they had to come in the open, and they were taken care of. And before that happened, it was also KSX that was just had a very phenomenally game, play well in its own way. But these all fights were the last stage where Meliodas really tried to perfection. 3 kills was what he was standing, but he was not able to increase the tally. But for the moment, it is obviously going to be the overall ranking with 152 total points. Obviously, Gremlin Storm is topping the chart, and IPG is slowly and steadily coming in, but still 7 points far away from bad intention. And I guess these last match, he is going to be the only objective, and he is going to be coming into the match with only one objective, and that is going to be the trespass, at least bad intentions total point tally. But KSX, what a game has been. I mean, him along with Faceoff is the 3 teams in this lobby, because it's also TRZ getting 2 chicken, but certainly somewhere down the line they are lacking in terms of kill, but certainly well toned in terms of placement points. At 115 total points they are standing, but this is where the things are getting trickier. They are standing right on the brink of the elimination. 11 is where no team loves to be at.
Exactly, and this is where, of course, Martyrs Epsilon are sitting with 91 points, and they are left with just one more opportunity. Final Touch move on to find themselves on the 15th position, so they have, well, kind of made it. They've got this one final game, and if they play it right, we can maybe see this team jump in closer and closer towards the top 11. But as the journey continues on towards the 3rd page, this is where Black Diamonds are sitting. This is where GS Legends are at, along with Thundercloud. And this is, of course, going to be the final game that these teams are going to be participating in for their opportunity to be in the finals of PMCO 2019. 2021 is certainly not working for this team. And when we move on to the final page, again, I mean, it's just gotten too far away for the team of course IR as well as Sinners, because the first few games itself, they took first few games to get themselves acclimatized to the lobby, and that again did not favor them because they lost their track. That same actually can be said for Final Touch, but Final Touch did get that chicken dinner and were looking pretty phenomenal in terms of the run. Had they played the 3 games that they missed, we could have seen Final Touch also jump into the 11. But again, right now they're sitting on 15th, 1 game remaining. But before we jump into that final Erangel, we're going to go on a short little break. Be right back.
Here we go now.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotguns.
Hello and welcome once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open Bangladesh Region 2021. All thanks to Oppo F19 Pro for making this all happen. With that, one final game remaining. Let's have a look at the schedule. We've had some incredible games today, Ankit, but now it is going to be one final Erangel to get through.
Yeah, one final chance for Group A and C to get close towards the top 11, because at the end of the day, we have been time and again saying and repeating the same fact that the top 11 will be progressing, and I'll have my keen eye set upon what sort of performance Martyrs Epsilon will be having upon, because if they tend to find themselves at the 11th position, there is bound to happen that when Group B and D will be coming into play in tomorrow's gameplay, there will be at least one or two teams that will having their eyes set upon to get into the top 11, and that if that happens, that will be really an unfortunate and a misfortune, to be more honest to say. But in doing so, it seems that Martyrs Epsilon are pretty much aware of all these facts that we've just been blabbering throughout the day, and they will be getting their fight done. But for the moment, it is going to be a Western-dominated flight path. That means it won't be an easy task for the team to go towards the area of Yasnaya, Minchin, Lipovka, Shelter, Milta Power, completely taking away each and every city on the extreme and obviously on the central lines of the extreme side of the west side, east side of the circles. But for the moment, it is gonna be ATR that will be slowly and steadily moving on to the area of is it gonna be military base? No, it seems that now they are jumping towards the area of Ferry Pier, as in contrast to where they jumped towards the area of military base in the first game of Erangel. But as soon as Black Diamonds jump into the area, I mean, this team has nothing to lose. They are on the 4th half of the charge. It's pretty much impossible in terms of total points that they would be able to secure. I mean, if only they secure a more than 25 kill chicken dinner, that's the only case that they will be making a move and entry into the top 11. Else that is not going to be the case. But Circle is playing it notoriously well in this very last game for Group A and C, and this is somewhere down the line a lot of obviously congestion will be there, but already we can get to see multicolor teams are in the same frame as now, slowly and steadily. GSM, that is going to be the Gremlin Storm, will be getting a better half of the Pachinki area. It's still uncontested.
Absolutely. Along with that, we do have the team of Final Touch moving on against this player, against this team right here, and it is going to be IR as well as Martyrs Epsilon's one player who's going to find himself in the exact same spot itself. It is going to be a perfect spray that has been showcased from the Final Touch lads, and this is going to be the end for SAF from the side of Martyrs Epsilon. Where we were talking about it, Martyrs Epsilon, they do need to be showcasing a lot of synergistic play and bringing in a lot of points for themselves. They seem to be giving it away, and it is none other than Final Touch, who seem to have popped off in the first few minutes of the game itself. We were talking about how Final Touch have been able to play decent games for themselves. They have not played 3 games, and that, of course, is somewhere going to be biting them, but eventually they find themselves as of now on the 15th spot. So an incredible journey is what Final Touch have showcased for now, and as the final game gets started off, it is going to be Martyrs Epsilon where the expectations are going to be, because they are on the 11th spot, and if they play like this, then of course it is not looking good for them to be participating in the final PMCO regional finals itself. But for now, again, this is Final Touch looking pretty neat for now as they get themselves acclimated, and just a 3-man squad, but certainly that is how they played in the previous game as well, but certainly working their cards to perfection and are certainly moving slowly but surely with the decent stats being showcased throughout the PMCO games that they have been that they have participated in. I mean, again, like I say, 3 games they did not play. Had they played those 3 games, it would have been a different play altogether that we could have anticipated from the side of Final Touch.
Exactly, that could have been the case, but for the moment, the games that they are playing, one, they really are having the influential start. It seems that players are pretty much stuck in the same area, and they now need to move away from this situation, as now it was not a start where Martyrs Epsilon losing one player at the early stage of the game. This is certainly not Martyrs Epsilon would have wanted and would have actually imagined, but since now they have the circle, they are pretty much in the central line of the circle, they can get some easy kills. If spotted down to Jigsaw, that's one probable kill, that one easy kill that I can expect, only if a big if Martyrs Epsilon go on with that aggressive approach. But for the moment, since an early blood has been brought down, and that has been the receiving in from his team itself, it is pretty much not possible. But moving on to the fight, it is gonna be IR pretty much close to where KSX are present, and some players are pretty much close towards the area of Milta where KS Axe have made a drop, and since both the areas in pretty much closer vicinity, they should have spotted down the parachute, because that could have been pretty much visible. But it seems that Thundercloud is also waiting for the team to make a move into the zone, and if that happens, it is going to be one big challenge for them. As soon as that happens, it is going to be God's Reborn, the team that has been stopped now for the moment. In the last match, it will having a good shy of relief for them at this moment in order to get the thing acclimated. Pochinki is the area where Gremlin Storm is positioned at this moment, and with them being said, it is going to be an easy task for other players to make a move into the zone. But for the moment, Black Diamonds are really having the right setup on, and the moment that I just mentioned ago that we might get to see a fight erupting between MARTYRS Epsilon, and the player are in a formation, the player are taking the TPP advantage, and so are the players of Black Diamond. But Rochi is moving to that direction where he can be spotted on. If he's spotted, he will be peppered down. He's moving slowly and steadily, and Kabir is the one that will be taking a better half of himself, and Rochi will be finished off, and an early kill that has been brought down. That means MARTYRS Epsilon has now gotten the kill. One player that they lost down onto different directions, that was obviously of a final touch, but since it's a start that they really wanted, now they really want to make sure. It's still 3 players alive from the side of Black Diamond. If they want, if they have the courage, just go and bamboozle them.
They most certainly have the skill set that is going to be required to be able to take on the players of Black Diamond, but it's only going to be about commitment. Will they be committing to this fight or not? As of now, it is certainly seeming to be the case where Kabir is trying to bring in that onslaught, but sadly, Jig was able to get away, and Black Diamond's players are going to be able to move across the board with some decent play style that they are showcasing. But in all of that, it is MARTYRS Epsilon's Thor who has been able to bring a perfect approach to this entire fight. Now, as the game progresses on along, it is going to be this conversation about rotations, because the rotations are going to be key, and finding yourself in a good placement of the zone is going to be crucial for MARTYRS Epsilon to be able to convert this game into their own and get some decent points working for themselves on the other side. Talking about Black Diamond, this is a team that of course has been pretty decent in terms of the playstyle that they've showcased in the PMCO, but eventually for now they are the ones who will not be able to get any point across, at least from the side of MARTYRS Epsilon. But again, this is just 7 minutes into the game, so a lot of opportunities will most certainly be creating as the game progresses on along. For now, it is well, Black Diamonds who have lost one of their players, and they are now slowly but hopefully surely going to be moving on along to participate in some good fights that they are looking for. But eventually that is easier said than done, because the other teams are also going to be bringing in that same sort of thought and that same sort of skill set to every single fight. And in doing so, we have Faceoff Esports, who have been phenomenal today. They have lost one of their players, that's Rocks, and of course that means this is a 3-man army, but they are trying to take on the players of God's Reborn. And Daughter right there, being a perfect legend when it comes to the sprays and the utility usage, this dude has already brought 50% of Miradas's health down.
Exactly, and as soon as I just said, it is going to be a ban on the receiving end, thanks to the onslaught that's coming in from the side of God's Reborn.
Wow, what a play this is turning out to be. God's Reborn Turtle perfectly just chiming it along to get the kill confirmed for himself, and in that doing so, they've got 2 kills for themselves. Amazing turn of events right here from the side of God's Reborn. An incredible approach is what has been showcased, but on the other tangent coming in for Faceoff Esports. Now, what exactly are they bringing to the table? Razor is being set up right there, trying to get the fight for himself, but Daughter, how do you stop this dude? He just completely dominates you through the smoke, and that's exactly what this dude has done once again. Toto getting the kill along with, of course, his teammate Tultul, moving in to completely dominate and annihilate their competition. That was Faceoff Esports, and GG showcase from the side of GR indeed. And this team is back on the other front. It is seeming like Team IR are taking a fight of their own as well, as we do see some damage and sprays being showcased from that side. But where exactly and who exactly are they trying to fight? It is going to be the team of Final Touch this time around, where a 3-man squad has been printed down. It is Rebel who has already been lost to the cause, and of course it is going to be a conversation for Team IR to take this fight synergistically. But eventually, when it comes to that synergy, we do know that this team likes to play it right, and in doing so, they've created a perfect flank angle between Hex and Spike, and now it is the onslaught that has resulted in Final Touch with just a 2-man squad. Not looking looking okay, not looking good with the Macro Uzi. What sort of a playstyle is going to be made from the fight? Well, no playstyle is going to be made from the side of Final Touch, because Team IR are in control of this entire fight and eventually will be the one to completely annihilate and dominate the competition that was Final Touch. And with that, the dream for Final Touch to be in the finals for PMCO has been lost. Not the play they wanted to make, but that is what they have been faced with as the game progresses on along. This is 9-minute marker. 500 meters away is what KSX finds themselves, and as they do so, they are trying to spot other teams that they are maybe going to be finding in terms of the rotation, and well, that certainly is going to be the case, so they're going to have to be careful.
Exactly. Cautious is one thing that they have to be at the moment, and they have to be watchful in terms of the rotation that they might be cutting down. But as soon as the player will be finding themselves in the open position, it's going to be BadBlood that won't be shying away to take the fight, and it is on a move where GSM might be charging upon onto the player, and they really have a good chance. I mean, they really had made it possible because they are standing right there at the top of the overall leaderboard, above a bad intention, and this one big game can really be more big in terms of the total placement point that they want to have in. But now KSX is also retaliating in fashion, as now they have gotten a lot of momentum from the last game itself, and Gremlin Storm are making a move, are making a rotation, trying to engulf a complete squad, and that is going to be obviously of GS Legend with Evileye on a roll. It seems that yes, this is the flank angle that we were talking about, with one player onto the backhand side and one player onto the front hand side. Rafat and BadBlood will be taken care of from the front hand side, and Evileye with the flank angle will be making sure that the team will be completely wiped out in a moment or so. But in doing so, they really have to make sure that they don't get backstabbed, because well, it was a complete open where the player have made a move, but KSX, after eliminating some of the player but still not getting secure with the kill, because 0 is where we get to see the number of defeat. Now they are maybe making a move parallelly with the teams of IR, and now since Sanhok, he's the one, the X factor that brings in whenever KSX get close to the chicken, or whenever KSX performs to its brilliant way, it is going to be him or obviously Mehraz, apart from the rest of the two teammates that has really been in the form, and the sublime form, the prolific form that they have been in has actually helped them to get close and close towards where in the last game itself, the chicken helped them to get towards the top 4, and they are standing right there at the top. At the moment, they are playing and trying to play the edge of the circle, just not trying to give a lot of info. They are making a move. Demon is leading the charge, and as soon as they enter the circle, he is the one that is trying to scout down the area, and as soon as the rest of the player can come in, they have to make sure that they don't get a lot of shots from Sinner, because the pink marker team is of Sinner pretty much close in the same vicinity, and at any point they might be peppered down with all those leads.
Absolutely, but it is Team IR that get the better half of the fight against the team of Sinner indeed. And on the other tangent, on the other front of the map itself, we are looking at GS Legends trying to take on the players of Gremlin Storm, and Gremlin Storm have pushed on, or rather trying to perhaps push on to the compound, and this is when it is going to be none other than Badrave bringing in a perfectly set up shot against the players of GS Legends, and in doing so have already confirmed a knock off themselves, and it is going to be Kapshi from the other tangent who is going to be now completely trying to decimate the competition with the nades that he's bringing in, and it is going to be Tikto's nade that is going to be bringing in Badrave down to his knees. This is looking like a 3v3 situation where now it has turned into a 2v4 situation where it is GS Legends who have been able to reign on supreme against the push being created from the side of Gremlin Storm, and GS Legends are absolutely in control with these perfectly set up nades that they have been able to bring in. It is GS Legends who are going to perhaps get the better half of this fight, but we shall have to see, because the health department is most certainly not going to be favoring them.
Indeed, it is going to be the health department where they're lacking for certain. But Gremlin Storms now are getting backstabbed. They tried to make a push onto the players of GS Legend. That was pretty much synergized, but is not to its perfection. And then there we go. It is going to be God's Reborn. Multiple times we have seen this team third-partying, and they won't shy away from taking all these easy points, easy kills, because at the end of the day, they are also the one contender for the top 3 and top 2 slots. And in that, they won't shy away to taking the... It is going to be Evileye that is now in the animation with Kapshi going down. Rafat is just asking and begging for that revival, but it seemed that he won't be given the revival. He's pretty much away from all these situations. Rafat is bleeding down slowly and steady, but Grenade is working really well for the sides of GS Legends, and now Rafat has been finished off with all 4 players still standing. It was a push that now seems it was unnecessary.
Well, I mean, GS Legends, Tekito, he was again and again able to bring in that onslaught with the nades that he was able to parade against the players of Gremlin, has absolutely annihilated the play, and in doing so, they are once again going to be bringing the exact sort of a dominating force against the players of Gremlin, and it is going to be Tekito once again. It is going to be Badrav's nade that will bring him down, and eventually the entire thing will be finished off with Omanshu's perfectly set up nade as well, and what a play this was. I mean, what an amazing stat this has been showcased from the side of GS Legends, and they have been able to convert the push coming in from the side of Gremlin Storms into nothing but lying crates, and now it is GR Esports who are trying to chime in with 700 meters plus to cover. This is going to be a long rotation that this team of GR will have to make, but it is same for the GS Legends as well, but they will not be allowed to get away from that situation because GR are on the track, and they are not going to allow the team to just completely run away in front of them to the comfort of the zone. With that, 5 defeats is what GR Esports have been able to collect for themselves. 11 teams still remaining, 15 minutes in this game.
A complete squad wipe out was the only try, but still 3 players just survived the onslaught, and it seems that the Exorcist is going to win. That is going to be deleting the charge for the moment, as we have seen in the past. But GR Esports, Tultul, along with the rest of the pack, will be moving into the zone slowly and steadily, but they will be encountering, I am sure, both the team will be again encountering the way they are retracing the path. They are pretty much in the same vicinity, but Martyrs Epsilon compete has been finished off, and this brings down to Thor that is still in the water area. That is not a good area to be at, but certainly he can play for the placement points as far as possible. But Omanush has been taken down thanks to that blue zone that is coming into play, but Martyrs player are really not in the position that they should have been. But it is going to be obviously Phantom 4i that is trying to gatekeep the situation and is holding the important bridge, with Play Zone taking a complete entire squad for IPG. Certain player has gone down, and it seems that IPG is the one that has been slaughtered by the Blues.
Absolutely. For now, as we move on along with this dominating team, GR Esports, as they push on against the players that ran away from them, but not for long because they have found them. It is going to be GS Legends, and GS Legends are left with just that one man remaining on his feet. But that too, again, will not be the case for too long because Aban, along with his nade, is certainly going to be creating a lot of ruckus for that, and eventually will completely annihilate GS Legends. What a phenomenal game is being showcased from the side of GR Esports. With that, 9 teams remaining. Black Diamond are busy with another fight of their own against the players of Team IR, where they both have been able to get nades for themselves, but Play Zone takes Tutul down. It seems like the rotation that GR were trying to make has certainly not worked in their favor. But on the other tangent, it is KSXX who are taking an onslaught and a fight against the players of Phantom for UI, and within a matter of seconds, the entire force of KSXX was felt for Phantom Legends and Phantom for You, and of course it is going to be Phantom for You not looking good because they have been destroyed, and KSXX have gotten the kills and points for themselves.
The Empire has certainly fallen down for Phantom 4 UI, as now KSX are trying to make a move into the circle with them. With all 4 players surviving, they certainly have a 2 kill for the moment. But GR, it is going to be God's Reborn. Totter is not stopping. He is on a roll. The player and the team really got a big dent when they were facing an onslaught from the opposition teammates, but as soon as they regrouped, they are making sure that they are again back in business, and that's what God's Reborn are known for. They are making a move into zone, and it is not going to be an easy task with Exitron Red Army taken care by Play Zone. I mean, I guess this is the second squad in this match after IPG that has been eliminated, and all of a sudden the MVP is becoming the blue zone.
It most certainly is, and that has resulted in quite a lot of chaos because the teams have had to make such crazy rotations, and in that it is the Play Zone again and again in the kill feed. It is certainly seeming like the final game. It is PUBG Gods who are trolling the players with the blue zone indeed, and is certainly going to be not favoring any other but GR Esports, because again, I mean, GR Esports has been phenomenal. Team IR, looking at Team IR with 4 players all alive, 9 defeats is what this team has been able to accumulate for themselves. Absolutely perfect play being showcased from this team, but what an amazing game this has turned out for the side of GR as well as Team IR. But for now, it seems like Aban will be finding himself in the blue zone, and will this be another demise to the blue zone? It certainly seems likely to be the case, and yes, that is the one. God's Reborn's Aban also being sent down to his knees thanks to the blue zone. It it was Tutul from the side of Gods Reborn who also was down on his knees thanks to the blue zone, and thus we've got 7 teams remaining.
I mean, at least 8 to 9 players have fallen down to the blue zone, and it seemed that the player are just not willing to give the kill to the opponent team, rather bleed him themselves into the blue, and that has going to be the case. But Thundercloud, all of a sudden 2 players are just fallen down, and now the Bulbul is giving the revival for sure. But Demon has spotted on the player, and that grenade, if landed sweetly into the lap of Thundercloud, that can really game in for at least 2 of the players, as 1 player is still far away from that situation. That's going to be the case as Bulbul goes down. That means the revival that certainly was looking the case is not going to be the case, as now Sanhok has also been pulled down and brought down to his knees with Martyrs Epsilon Thor. You remember that lad was surviving in the oceans for a long time, is now trying to retaliate, and it seems that all of a sudden it is going to be Martyrs Epsilon for the game. But before that happens, 1 grenade does the business, and on a domination mode, it is going to be KSX Demon.
Absolutely, just perfect spray being showcased for this nade parade, and with that he will get 2 kills thanks to those nades that Demon was able to showcase against the players of Thundercloud. 6 teams remaining, Thundercloud being eliminated with just the 2 kills on the 7th position. GR's Touter is still part of the fight, he is still part of the game, but eventually is he going to be enough against the onslaught that these teams are bringing to the table. This time around in the final fight, in the final game itself, there's a lot of chaos being showcased, but it is definitely Team IR who have completely pushed on and annihilated KSX in a matter of seconds. What a perfect domination that was from QXOP, and eventually the spray that was being showcased from the side of KSX has certainly not resulted in that team's favor. What a phenomenal turn of events for Team IR this is turning out to be.
Wow, 1-1 fight. You come in with the help of that AKM, and he will be taken care of, as now Thor is doing a lot of shots, but that kill has gone certainly into the favor of IR, with AX Demon was also hungry for that kill, but that kill has certainly gone to the name of IR. That means KSX knows that it's pretty much close to where they are positioned. It is going to be obviously 1 team that in the vicinity that will be taken care of, but Gods Reborn, it seems that 1 player is still alive with the maroon marker onto the eastern side of the circle. We need to see where he is positioned at this moment, but for the moment it is going to be KSX that is just trying to dominate. But onto the other hand side, we just saw IR getting a lot of kill, at least 10 to 11 kills. Yes, 11 kill is where they're standing at the moment. Out of total, it is going to be 4 kill from the side of Spike, and they are having a real influential gameplay, a real big mark before they get out away from this and they get finished with all the matches done for the semi-finals. And this is 1 real booster for the whole team and the region itself.
This most certainly is looking really phenomenal indeed, but in that it is going to be a conversation that KSX are trying to dominate against. Ifthi was certainly brought down thanks to, of course, QXOP's perfect spray, but eventually these 2 teams are so very close to each other, and now it is going to be a nade parade situation that is going to be created by the side of Demon as well as from the likes of Spike. It seemed like no, but Spike has decided to now be a bit on the back end, and now it is Demon who is trying to bring in that onslaught. What a phenomenal turn of events this is from the side of KSX against the players of Team IR, but for now the kills are not being converted into the nade parade is not being converted into kills for now, but eventually that is just a matter of time. We are 22 minutes in, the zone moving away from these teams. It is going to be quite a domination when it comes to this game itself, because the zone and the circle shifts have completely annihilated the approach that these teams have made into the game itself. Limitover's players are still alive onto the other tangent. When it comes down to Team IR, they are also going to try and get themselves in the comfort of the zone, and as they do so, it seems like QXOP has spotted Black Diamond's final player, and what a spotting that was. He was just phenomenal with that.
It was not even visible. Even if I'm seeing with my naked eyes, with the players getting the highlighted, obviously that glimmering marker, I was not able to spot him down. But so was not the case, as these all players really work really hard day in, day out. They have their alarm set up, and then they just try to do all sort of things. But now that being said, it is going to be KSX that is on a roll, but LO's player that is obviously going to have limit over. Igniter is in a pinned position where Sanhok is going to be bringing the knock. But from the backhand side, Gods Reborn, Tata is still there. The God is still there. That means he's still there to seal his fate and to make the fortune and turn the fortune in its own favor, in its own way. But the circle has certainly gone away from that side. That means he needs to make a rotation, and we can get to see from the minimap he is coming way back, way longer rotation, and he is coming close to where the brown marker players offer. Obviously, one player that is of KSX. He is pretty much close towards them, and he will be finding himself in a fight sooner or later, but in doing so, will it be enough for him to get all these placement points acclimated? That is going to be the question. Or will his rotation be allowed? That is also going to be the whole bigger question.
Well, he certainly moved on along and getting that rotation working in his favor. He stopped, he took the kill and was again then on the run. And in doing all of that, he has now found himself behind the Team IR's position in the kill feed. In the minimap, we can clearly see the green are Team IR and the one in purple is Toto right there. And now it is going to be KSX Axe also on the vicinity. And in that, it is the smoke, just the smoke that is going to be limiting the visibility of that team. But all of this is certainly favoring Limitover, as Limitover just slowly but surely try and get into the zone. In the comfort of the zone, they have 3-man strong team, and as of now will only get 1 kill confirmed for themselves. It seems like Siam has been able to spot Cubex. He is certainly going to be bringing in a little bit of that damage, but the vehicle that has been set up on the side of Cubex OP is going to be favoring him and most certainly not allowing those bullets to be connected. But Siam is not yet done. He is most certainly looking on to just completely burst that car, and as he does so, the vehicle damage is most certainly going to be affecting Cubex OP and his position as well. On the other front, it is going to be a tricky affair for Limit Over, because now the circle has moved away and they have to travel 56 meters to get into the zone.
And they have to in order to get that chicken. They have to, as now slowly and steadily we are moving towards the end circle of the zone where 25 minutes is already on the clock, and Sanhok trying to make a rotation. They are now on the backhand side where IR can be really pinned down, not only just by Totter from the sides of Godriva, but also from the sides of KSX, with Spike getting 1 more kill. He is looking absolutely phenomenal in this last match, obviously for Group A and C for the semifinals. How many more? We have to still wait for that, but Sanhok's going down. That means it might be a game end for KSX, as Mehraj is last place surviving, and 57 meters is what he needs to travel. And not only travel, he needs to make sure that he needs to be patched up with just the 15 bandage and 2 painkillers and 3 drinks into his favor. This is not looking good. This is not looking good, but certainly looking good in the favor of IR, because they have the numbers advantage. They have everything, and you remember Hex OP in the game of Miramar really made it look possible for him before he was taken care by Rafat. This time IR again. So that means at the start of the game, IR was really strong, and when the game is ending, the day is ending, IR is again making a move.
They most certainly are, but now it is a conversation for Limit Over, because they have 3-man strong team and are going to be trying to push on along the placement of Team IR. But will it be enough? Will they be allowed to do so? It is Siam who has been finally nading against the players of Team IR, and Spike is the only man surviving. Of course, the push has been made. These 3 players from the side of Limit Over seem to be taking on domination roles in the final few minutes of the game, and eventually will get a chicken dinner for themselves. An incredible turn of events for the side of Limit Over. Indeed, a team that we were looking at when it came down to the aggressive stance that they were able to make this time around, move on in to take those kills for themselves. And this is where the team will move on to the 2nd position in the overall ranking. Amazing turn of events. The X Factor team, I think, is what we spoke about when it came to Limit Over, and that's exactly what they have showcased. I mean, in the kill department, that team has been ferocious, but today it was just the placement that they found in the circle that worked in absolutely dominatingly for them.
I mean, this was the team that we were talking about. I mean, this was team that was a team to look out for before the start of the game. And this team is certainly making a big mark and an influential day for itself and for the region itself and for the team most probably, because they have now made it look possible, because nowhere in our imagination, I mean, nobody could have predicted, because at the end of the day, the sort of gameplay, the momentum that they were carrying, nobody could have imagined that they will climb so far in order to getting close to that #2 position, and that 2 is where they will be ending the journey. But before that, we have the MVP ranking going for Cubex OP from the sides of IR. 3 kill, 810 damage, 414 healing done. What a game for this team, at least. I mean, it was also a game of Miramar where Helix OP was surviving. This time it was one team from the sides of again IR, and they made it to that perfection. A lot of points is what IR has also secured, but nothing taken away from Limit Over. That was also one team that really made it look so easy for themselves. But talking about all these fights, it is going to be the top 4 players and top 5 players where a lot of IR's players are coming in. Talk about Spike, talk about Hex OP, talk about Frame Drop. Everyone just being in the top players list.
Absolutely, along with the first Totter taking in the reign for himself as well for the side of Reborn Esports, where he got 3 kills, was part of 509 damage, of course survived for quite a long time as well, but eventually a wonderful turn of events is what this final game has turned in favor of course Team IR. As we move on to the match summary, we do have IR Spike taking the highest kills, CubeXOP with the highest damage, and along with that CubeXOP also being a part of the maximum assist. And in that, when you talk about Nitrogen taken from the limit over region, team taken a lot of utilities, and that is something that of course was showcased in the final moments of that game. And in that, of course, this team got some perfect plays and got the chicken dinner with only 707 damage and 5 kills, but phenomenally find themselves on the second page, or rather second place of the overall ranking. So a GG approach. Sadly for Final Touch, the journey ends right here, not only for Final Touch but the other teams as well, as we will bring it when it comes down to the overall standings. But for now, it is time to move on to the Oppo F19 Pro moments, where these fights are of course going to be showcased once again, and they were looking absolutely wonderful is the word that I would want to say, because I mean Gremlin Storm, they were caught off guard. They were completely caught off guard, and the nades that were being brought on from the side of Gremlin Storm against the side of Gremlin Storm certainly did not favor them. With that, of course, let's move on to the Oppo F19 Pro moments.
Exactly, and this will bring a fresh, if any sort of movement. In other fight that we missed in the early stage of the game, it was Saf that had that real punching action, and he was thrown through lobby. But still, it was one more player from sides of MARTYRS Epsilon that was Thor that survived to the very end. But before that, there was a lot of fight that happened, which was IR taking the fight right off the go. They eliminated Final Touch. They tried to eliminate one more team, but this push, I mean, they were just outplayed by GS Legend. I guess it is too late for GS Legend to perform in the way they actually performed. But before bidding goodbye obviously to this PMCO and all these matches, they have actually pulled down a one big team. Obviously that is going to be the Gremlin Storm. But now GR Esports in all these situations really tried to find themselves in a good position, but was certainly not the case. And then it was an all easy affair for KSX to pin down the players, and one grenade did the business to him. Team IR again, as we just talked about, from the start of the game to the middle stage towards the last, they were just trying to decimate the lobby, and an annihilating gameplay is what we got to see from that side. And then it was an all easy affair for limit over, as the numbers advantage was really favoring them, and those grenades were being used to perfection. And talking about perfection, it is the Gremlin Storm that is making it to perfection. 12 matches played, 153 total points. They are standing right there at the top, followed by same point with the sharing with limit over and bad intentions after the end of 12 matches. They must be really happy with the performance that they had in this game today.
Absolutely, and this is going to be looking real good for these teams who have completed the 12 matches, as they find themselves in a pretty decent spot in the top 8 is what we are looking at. And as we move on along from the first page to the next, Faceoff Esports are on the 8th right there with 112 points. But as we move on to the next page, 198 is what Phantom 4 UI find themselves on, and this is where things are going to get tricky, because tomorrow when PX Esports, when of course Archangels, Fallen 5 Esports, when these teams start chiming in and showcasing some perfect plays, that is when things are going to get that much more tricky for these teams who find themselves on the 9th, 10th and 11th position.
Exactly, as you just mentioned, Archangel 60 total points. They just have to actually get 37 points. That is pretty much doable with the intent the players are coming in. But before that, MARTYRS Epsilon have really done a good job in getting 1 point, the placement point that they just got in terms of the jump that they got, and now they are in the 10th position. But certainly 1 green, but this green is 2 away. I mean, this is a lost case for Team IR. And just talking about that, 12 matches, 59 total points that they were able to secure. But certain teams in Esports, even at the end of the 12 matches, they were just able to secure 29 kill. But it's just the experience, the gameplay, I mean the strategy, I mean the mistakes that they will be learning from tournament as big as this PMCO.
Absolutely, and with that, we've got a wonderful turn of events for this day. We do of course see Gremlin Storm making it really good, and of course with that we also saw GR Esports in this final game absolutely showcase some destruction all across the board. With that, talking about the kill leaders throughout, we are looking at IPGX's Mehfooz YT with 26 kills, 4,527 damage in 20 minutes of average survival time. That is amazing stats right there. But as we move on along towards Gremlin Storm's Scarptree, he has also been able to accumulate quite a lot of damage with 5,153 damage, and it is only in 19 minutes of survival time. So that remains to showcase the kind of domination for the team of Gremlin Storm, because every single time that this team takes fight, they try and dominate. And of course the points, they showcase that with them being on the top of the leaderboard. With that, these teams are settled. Now we have Group B and D to look on to for tomorrow, because tomorrow is the final day of the semi-finals. With that, we do reach the end of our show for the day. It is all thanks to Oppo F19 Pro for, of course, making this all happen. Hashtag Wook up your fun. Thank you guys tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.
Here we go now. 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 Here we go now.